So I'm pumped. I managed to get some sleep last night after being in 3 countries yesterday. So yes, I'm ready for you guys. I hope you're ready for me. That's all I'm going to say. And as I often say at my events, because it's Zoom, I know that it's not the same as being in the room, but I want you to pretend that you're here with me, that you're sitting here with me, guys. You're having a conversation with me, because even though you're talking with your fingers here, I want to be able to make sure that we have some level of connection. And that's only going to happen if you watch the training video, the pre-training video, if you take a couple of things into account. One is set your intention. Set an intent. You're going to understand the power of intention and why people are successful and why people aren't by the end of this training. And if you have an intention that you're looking to get something out of this, what it does, it trains the brain to look for something. Your brain is a finding machine. You tell it what to look for, it will look for it. If you walk into a forest and you're walking through a forest and you say, oh, I just want to walk through a forest. It's just a nice forest. I'm going to enjoy the walk. Well, guess what? This could be a nice training. Yeah, it's going to be great. You're going to spend a better hour on here than you'll ever spend on Netflix. I can guarantee you that. Or, social, or unsocial media as it's becoming these days. But that doesn't give you a real benefit. If you were walking through a forest and you had an intention, I want to look for a specific kind of plant or tree or bird, then your brain says, a goal. I know what I'm looking for. Let me go to work. And there are forces beyond your conscious awareness that will start coming into play. Parts of the neurobiology that make us what we are so amazing at the top of this food chain. That's things like the reticular activating system, which deletes, distorts, and generalizes so much of the information apart from the information that you, not me, you tell it it's important or relevant. That's why you can be at a party, guys, and there's 15 conversations going on, and somebody 3 conversations on the other side of the room away mentions your name in their conversation, and while you're engrossed in having this conversation with somebody else, oh, hang on, somebody said my name. Yeah, you ever had that? And that's why it's important to you. And I'm going to give you a really powerful analogy here that'll set us up to start the training, guys. All right? So imagine that your conscious awareness is the bouncer at the party. Your reticular activating system is a bouncer at a party. And there's a line across the party. We've all been to those parties. We've all been to those or walked past them when we want to get in, but we can't get in. Because the bouncer's standing there with a red rope. And if your name's not down, you're not coming in. And there's a big line of people outside. They're the kind of parties we want to go to. However, that bouncer's job is to stop unwanted guests from getting in, or guests that shouldn't be there. Now, there is so much information and misinformation and disinformation and irrelevant information. We're living in a world where people are drowning in information, but they are starving for wisdom. And when you are out in the world, your brain has a job to do, and that is to try to filter the irrelevant information from what is relevant, not to the world, not to what your friends think is relevant for you, but to you specifically. And the way it does that is by latching on to what you tell it is important to focus on. So to follow the party analogy, if you've got thousands of people trying to get in and the bouncer's like, right? If your name's down, we'll let you in. In other words, if you're important and you belong inside, then guess what? You're in. And your brain is the bouncer. Your reticular activating system is the bouncer to your brain. So all of the information, millions of bytes a second that you're taking in unconsciously, because the bouncer is lifting up that carpet and sweeping most of the information underneath your conscious awareness. Now, when you or something approaches the bouncer that is relevant to you, like your name, it says, well, hang on, let me check. Yep, come above the carpet and come in to the club. Are you following me here, guys? Is this making sense? And please feed back to me here. One of the ways that we actually get engaged and pay attention is by interacting. So if you're in a room with me, it would be easy for me to see who's paying attention. And for those that aren't, I would throw something at you lovingly, like a chair. No, just kidding, right? I would try to get your attention. So, as I can't do that now, but I'm going to give you everything I can over the next hour or less that we're going to play here together. I really want you guys to do the same and interact with me. Yeah, interact with each other, chat, let your fingers go for a walk on the keyboard, say something encouraging or positive or reinforcing. And I'm going to be asking questions. Now, guess what? These are not going to be IQ testing questions. If you are smart enough to show up at this training, then you are smart enough to understand what I'm saying. So instead, the questions and the responses here, guys, are designed to keep your brain from being bored or for practicing what so many people have become experts in practicing, the good old art of distraction. I teach my senior mentor students the art of concentration on one of the modules that we teach because it's such a rare skill these days. But so now some of you also may wonder why that if you're driving down the freeway and you are operating in what's known as being sleeping awake mode, which is where most people live their life, then all of a sudden you always notice the brake lights in front of the car just at the right moment, don't you? Now, what's going on there? That's a different part of the brain. Now, the different part of the brain is called the amygdala. And that amygdala is the only thing that can trump the bouncer, that has more authority on the bouncer, because the amygdala is your security detail. And security can walk past the bouncer. So if there is a threat to your conscious awareness with all of this millions of things coming through, and let's just say you don't think it's relevant, but it could threaten your survival or security, then the amygdala will flag it up and bring it over the carpet. The bouncer will move out of the way and it'll bring it into your awareness. Now, this evolved over obviously a long period of time. And it was very, very useful because if you were to walk past a tree, let's say 10,000 years ago, and you were to miss an apple, well, if you were hungry, you'd probably see the apple because your intention is to look for it. If you weren't hungry, you probably wouldn't notice it. But if you were to miss a snake on that tree, that could be a big deal. And you don't need to be hungry or not for that. So your amygdala is constantly scanning all of the information. And if it sees a threat, it will flag it up into your conscious awareness. So that's the two parts of the brain I want to reiterate here. One, you don't have control over. The amygdala is always scanning and it'll always protect you. That's why you see the brake lights on the car in front when you don't know how you've been driving for the last 2 miles. That's why you noticed the snake on the tree 10,000 years ago. And that's why the media will program you with fear over good feelings, because it's a way to get the information above the threshold that the bouncer is guarding. Right? Is this making sense, guys? All right. So, for that reason alone, the amygdala, you need to be aware of it. It'll do its job. And providing you don't expose it to constant fear mongering, it'll actually validate the threat, there's real or not. However, your reticular activating system is a manual process. It will only look for what you consciously tell it is important. Now, this is a big setup I'm doing here, guys, but it's important for you to understand this, because not just here, but in life. And as obviously I'm teaching you guys, the outcome of this webinar, as we'll get to, is, what's the difference between people that are crushing it right now out there in the world versus those that are, crumbling. And this is one part of it. There's a little bonus part to set you up to pay attention to what's going to happen. So if you are, another example, driving to work every day, then you're not going to notice all of the details. You're going to notice what's important, like the directions you're taking. However, if your little daughter says, Daddy, I really want a bike for my birthday, and you and your partner have been talking about getting her a bike, and you're driving to work, and all of a sudden you notice on the other side of the road, 2 miles away from the house, a mile before the office, you see a bike shop. Oh, that's useful. Now, that bike shop didn't just open yesterday. It's been there for the last 3-4 years. You've been driving that route to work. But guess what? It came up to the front of the nightclub and the bouncer said, you're not important, lifted up the carpet and swept it under the conscious awareness. But now you've chosen and made the decision consciously that a bike is something that's relevant, just like your name at the party. And guess what? It'll bring it to the front of the line. The bouncer checks. Oh, bike, that's relevant right now. Brings it above the carpet and lets it into the nightclub, right? So my point being, guys, is if you do not set an intention for what is about to happen, then you're going to have a nice walk through the forest. But you could get so much more out of it if you put your attention and intention on what you want to get out of it. And I don't mind what you want to get out of this. You know, I'm here to deliver whatever I can in the time we have, and I respect the time you have, guys, because, again, we're all busy being busy most of the time. But ultimately, the title of this webinar is, in fact, let me share screen. Where are we here? Let me share this one. Right. Look at that. Can you see that, guys? Let's have a little look. Right, you can see me down there. In fact, can I make myself bigger? Let me just have a little look. I'm sure there was something somewhere where I could press a button and make myself bigger, but probably not. But it doesn't really matter, because what I'm actually going to be doing, guys, is I'm going to be putting the slides on and off. Because here's what I know. Obviously, the title is How to Crush 2020 and Set Yourself Up to Win Big in 2021. That's one of my promises here. All right, what I want to do here is really deliver you something that's going to make a difference. Now, here is the difference to begin with. I don't want this to be a webinar or a live training or any of those terms that you use where I'm going to be hiding behind fancy schmancy slides. So I could have taken a lot of time today to create some really cool looking slides. And I thought, you know something? Slides look really good only in one place. Where's that? A screen. But let me ask you a question. Does a screen get you results in the outer world when something takes you out at the knees? Of course not. So what I want to do is essentially get you guys focusing more on me than the slides. The slides I've thrown together to make some key points that I want to drill down on. And I felt that it's a little more important to have better content that I can deliver than try to waste my time on some cool little animations and slides and all that kind of crap that most people put in together. So that's why this is going to be a slightly different training, because I want you focused on me and what I'm saying rather than some fancy stuff on the screen. Is that okay, guys? All right. Everybody okay with that? You'll allow me permission to not get into fancy graphics and a million slides and all the rest of it. I'm just going to make some key points there, which is why I want you to be active in writing stuff down, because that way it'll be far more powerful. Now, we are asking if this is recorded. Yes, and at this point, we're only going to send it to those of you who are watching as a way to essentially catch up. So I will send the slides out as triggers for you guys. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for being with me. Now, okay, so on that note, let's have a little look here. Let's do a reality check. Where are we right now in the world, guys? Because for a lot of people, it's not in a better place than they were in January or this time last year. And guys, honestly, I get it. I understand that there is a lot of pain going on right now. I understand that a lot of you have had to face more uncertainty in the last several months than maybe the last several years. I understand some people are facing all sorts of new challenges, whether it's financial challenges, whether it's challenges with being forced into a situation where you're shoulder to shoulder with the people you normally can take a break from when you leave the house. I know there's challenges around shifting lifestyles and all of the stuff that goes with that, about worrying about what other people may think, or what will happen if I can't keep my kids' education going. What will happen if my business collapses or fails? What about the people that rely on me that I won't be able to serve anymore? I understand there is a huge amount of that going on. So if you fall under that category, I'm here to help as much as I can. Now, I'm not here to share a magic pill, but I've been a very keen observer for the last 31 years of people's lives who work and people's lives who don't work. And I've looked at all the commonalities. I've looked at what those that work do and what those that don't work don't do, or do that they shouldn't be doing. And here's what I can tell you up front. In fact, let me get rid of this. Let's just Am I back? Yes, I'm back. Here's what I can tell you up front, guys. Let's bring me back center. The difference between people who succeed and the difference between people who don't has absolutely nothing, underline nothing, to do with the external circumstances that most people are too busy trying to control. Yeah, you will see people absolutely nailing it in a down market. You'll see people absolutely failing in a boom time. Trust me, there is no common denominator in external circumstances that can stop you or can guarantee you success. So if we can just unhook from that belief for a second, it'll allow us to take a breath and look at what are the differences, because there certainly are. And here's what it isn't. It's not intelligence. The average IQ can perform way above average or get way above average results. A high IQ can live a life of misery and failure, and an idiot, and I use the term in its technical term, which is an IQ of lower than 70, can go and have the most incredible life starting from scratch. So let's take IQ off the table. It's not education, certainly not in the traditional sense. Jim Rohn said it beautifully. Formal education may help you make a living. And there's a lot of people right now, guys, with a lot of expensive certificates on the wall that can't afford to eat in the same restaurants that they could have eaten in last year. Education ain't going to help as much as what I'm going to share with you today. There's also a lot of people that have absolutely squat. I dropped out of school at 16. And I can't spell MBA. I don't want to go back to school. I have a whole different focus, but what I have done over those 31 years is understand people, because that's where traditional education fails. What makes us get up in the morning excited or not excited? What makes us as human beings relate to each other with a smile or a frown? Because in those areas, we have failed massively to help each other understand this incredible thing called community, right? As I said earlier, now it's more like unsocial media these days. Have you noticed? Especially on Facebook. Now it's like a social hand grenade, not a social network. Say something polarizing and pull the pin, throw it in, run like hell and see what blows up. So yeah, the good news is this. While I take some water. And guys, by the way, hydrate, please. 2% dehydration in your brain is 20% dehydration in your concentration. There you go for putting a word. Clearly, I'm dehydrated. Is this making sense? Okay, so IQ is not the key. Education is not the key. Not even experience. Experience certainly counts more for education, and IQ. But if you want to ask my honest opinion, the biggest lessons of history, my friends, is that we don't learn the lessons of history. So experience can be useful in certain situations, but being able to model other people who have walked the path that you want to walk, to be able to look at their experience, that is the difference between wisdom and knowledge. And what I want to do today, specifically, and only on this training for you guys, is share with you what are the commonalities of all the people I've looked at this year that have said, oh my goodness, this is the best year of my life, right? And I don't mean because they got divorced, right? Due to family lockdown, right? I mean, the best year of their life in terms of positive confirmation in their finances, in their sense of well-being, in their stress levels. Wouldn't that be something to model? And there are four keys that I'm going to share with you today that I've seen every single successful person in this climate do that unsuccessful people or people that are struggling right now are not doing. That's what I want to share. So the whole promise of this is that I'm going to share with you, cut through all of the crap, all of the guesswork, and save you decades of trying to figure it out, or wait for the next crisis so you can test out if this one actually, what you learned here actually works, or try to use your experience here to see if it happens again. Let me take that off the table for you. You guys have been kind enough and gracious enough to give me your time tonight, or this afternoon if you're in the West Coast, almost morning if you're in the West Coast, and middle of the night for some of you. God knows what time it is in New Zealand there, but I'm grateful you're with me, guys. So I want to honor that. And so again, let me do all of that. Now, some of you may not know who I am. You're like, why am I listening to this crazy, fast-talking English guy with some dead dog behind him in the basket? Right? Oh, it's Archie now. His sister's behind. Right? He's not dead, trust me. But let me just share with you a 2-second version of who I am, what I do. I don't want to make this about me. If what I've said so far resonates, you'll probably understand I'm kind of qualified to do what or share with you what I say. But my name's Peter Sage. And as I said, I spent the last 31 years not only as an active serial entrepreneur building multiple multi-million-dollar companies around the world in up climates, down climates, businesses with hundreds of staff, businesses with 2 staff, and everything in between in economic recessions and boom times. And I've also lost several businesses. I've lost more millions of dollars than most people will make. Yeah, and I've made more millions of dollars than I guess some of the clever people will lose. So from that side, I understand the business, and there's a reason that that's going to be important to you, as you'll notice moving forward. But I've also been into personal growth, human behavior, and understanding what unlocks human potential for about the same amount of time. I worked as an experienced trainer alongside, some of you may have heard of Tony Robbins, for 15 years. In fact, 2002, I was very privileged to be Tony's youngest serving trainer. And I learned a huge amount from Tony, plus a lot of the other mentors that I've been very blessed to have committed my time and effort over the years to learning from. So, yeah, I'm qualified. I've been in situations where I've lost everything. I've been in situations where the entire world is against me. I've been in situations where I've been nearly bankrupt. I've been in situations where I've had major health catastrophes. And I've learned how to get through all of those with a smile. And it's no secret that gives me a real sense of authenticity and a real sense of passion about wanting to share it with you, because this ain't coming from a textbook. This is coming from the real world. That's why you're getting me right now, not some fancy slide bullet points, right? But looking around, does it work for others? And there's 4 things I'm going to share with you today that'll guarantee the answer to that question is yes. Okay. Now, I'm not going to stop there, because while I'm going to make the next hour or whatever we got left exceptionally valuable for you, I want to take it one step further. I know we've got several hundred people on here. At the end of this, I'm going to invite some of you to be part of a case study. And that case study is going to spend the next 6 months working with me to validate that what I'm going to teach you and a lot more can turn your life around in the midst of an economic crisis, a personal crisis, a relationship crisis, a health crisis, whatever it may be. Because I said, theory doesn't cover the price of admission to the higher levels of greatness, my friends. Let me say that again. Theory does not cover the price of admission to the higher levels of greatness. And if you want to be the best version of who you are in a time like this, theory ain't going to cut it. So I'm going to take 20 people and invite you to become part of my own personal peer group. Now, for the rest of you, relax, don't worry. If you never hear from me again, if you never attend another one of my web class or watch one of my free videos online or any of that stuff, then I'm going to deliver enough to you in the time we have today to allow you to go out and make a significant difference. Yeah, many people know my work, know my training. This isn't a sort of bait and switch, dangle some little fancy thing and then sell you some big thing at the end. That's not what I'm about. I want to make sure if you never see me again, you can meet me on the street 5 years from now and say, wow, Pete, remember that training you gave? Yeah, in October 2020 when the world was going to hell in a handbasket? Let me tell you what happened and I did with it, and this is the amazing results. That is what I'm here to do. So let's get the offer at the end off the table. Don't sit there thinking, oh, will it be me, whatever. But let's just concentrate and set our intention on the next little while to learn these 4 primary skills that will allow you to go crush it no matter what. Is that fair, guys? Is that fair? Yeah, give me a yes, mildly interested, or absolutely you've got my full attention, or whatever it may be. Right? But yeah, give me some feedback here, guys, while I take a sip of water and we get this thing really underway. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. So 4 keys to moving forward. And let's get all my stuff in place. 4 master skills that I want to share with you guys. Okay, and the first one, let's have a look. You can see how prepared I am for all of this, because the first one, let me just get you guys on this side so I can share. You can all see that out. Is, let's have a look. Oh, oh, here we go. Share where you're from. I think we already did that a while back, so don't worry about that. Master skill number 1, right? Choose your focus. And guys, I'm making this simple so you can write it down or tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids, whatever you want to be, right? Choose your focus. Now, the 2 key words there, I'll give you a clue. It's not your, right? Choose, right? You don't get to focus on somebody else's focus. You only get to choose your focus. But yeah, your focus is absolutely critical. Why? Here's one thing I've learned that's absolutely, bang on. Successful people focus on what they can control. Let me say that again. Successful people focus on what they can control, not what they can't control. So let's make sure I've got all this in here. So, sorry, guys. I just want to make sure I've got all set up for you guys here. So what can you control right now? Right? Well, one of the first things you can control is your actual focus. And unless you, as I said at the beginning, set a positive intent for that, a direct intent, there are multi-billion dollar and now trillion-dollar industries that have all of the smarts. They hire all of the most intelligent people out of the top universities, and they give them one task. How do we get other people's attention on what is important to us for them to focus on, not necessarily what is important for them to focus on? That makes sense. So unless you take charge of what you focus on, you're going to be most likely a victim of somebody else's agenda. Now, clearly, some of the things I'm talking about here, obviously the media, we'll get into that a little bit as we go on. Right? The media's job is not to tell you what's in the news. If you think that, you're in Disneyland. Right? The media's job is to focus you on what you can't control. Ever thought about that? Why? Because that's the way to wake up your amygdala. That's the way to keep your attention focused, because your security detail is saying, whoa, 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 red alert. Hey, pay attention, pay attention. This could be dangerous. Is that a snake on the tree? Yeah, you get my point. So successful people in this crisis, in this current economic situation, are definitely focusing on what they can control. Right? Unsuccessful people that are melting into a puddle are usually focused on what they can't control, or they're looking at what they think they control and they don't know how to control it. Right? That's another aspect. And we'll get into that as we go. All right. So successful people, guys, focus on what they can control. Unsuccessful people focus largely on these things. Right? And again, let me take the slides off because I don't have a slide for this. Let me look you in the eye. Where are we? There you are. Right? Unsuccessful people focus on the following. 1, what they cannot control. Now, when you focus on what you can't control, what is the emotion that comes up? Now, if you're a low energy, the emotion is resignation, longing, upset. If you are at a high energy, the emotion is usually anger, resistance, complaining. Neither of those two are going to help you. Successful people focus on what they can control, and therefore they free up the energy of resistance and channel it into whatever their next best move is on what they can control. Is this making sense? All right. So successful people focus on what they can control. Unsuccessful people focus on what they can't control. They also focus on the media, because when you are starting to descend into a puddle of unresourcefulness and uncertainty, you will go to external sources of information to try to get that certainty back. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the loop that the media keeps reeling you in on. The media's job is to induce uncertainty, to stimulate the amygdala, to get your eyes on their agenda, right? Because it's a business, not a charity. And then what happens is they induce enough uncertainty for you to panic and then go back to the media to try to hopefully get some breadcrumbs of certainty back. Right? I think we can all agree that that model is so prevalent right now. And unless you know how to break that, you're going to be part of a victim mentality of it. Right? So the other thing that unsuccessful people focus on, the third thing, is OPD. Now, what is OPD? I know some of you know it. So if you do know it, then don't type it in. If you're going to take a guess, then type it in, right? Because we usually get some creative stuff here. What is OPD? What do you think unsuccessful people get involved in OPD? Let's have a little look. Right. I'm going to wait a second. Have another swig of water here on there. OPD, yes. Let me have a little look. Okay, some of the suggestions starting to come through. Other people's business, our own positive decision, other people's desires. Oh, look at that. Sharon and Jasmine nailing it out of the box. Other people's drama, right? Have you noticed that the anthem of stress is drama? Now, let me touch on this just for a second, guys. Right? OPD is where you no longer star as the star in your movie. You have suddenly become recruited as an unpaid film extra into somebody else's low budget, poor quality acting movie, which is a pretty poor career choice for your own acting career. Right? So the reason people get sucked into OPD is because they're too tied to the good opinion of other people, goop. And what successful people realize is that nobody else's opinion of them is any of their business. Let me tell you that again. Other people's opinion of you, my friends, is none of your business. And if you're the kind of person who has so much insecurity that you're trying to control other people's opinions of you so that you can feel good enough, accept it, yeah, validated, loved, whatever it may be. And by the way, that's never love. That's conditional love 101, which is why most people want love, but they usually settle for a poor level of connection. So if you get sucked into OPD, which is the need to justify yourself, then I got news for you. You're not going to be able to control what you focus on. Because can you control other people's opinion of you? Now you may say, well, it's kind of relative, Pete. I can control I can influence it. Well, sure you can. You walk up to somebody and slap them, then they're going to have a different opinion of you. Walk up and hug them. I get that. But in general, most people are so busy starring in their own movie that they don't give a crap about yours. And let me put it this way. If you're trying to run around getting connection through a victim story as to how hard done by you are or how your story is more dramatic than somebody else's story, I'll give you this one for free. Because again, it's another trait of unsuccessful people right now, and it's becoming very common. And that is to over-egg the meaning of the pudding. We're going to get onto that in the next skill in a second. So let me share this with you. You may want to write this down. 80% of people don't care about your problems, and the other 20% are glad you have them. Have you noticed that? 80% of people don't care about your problems. The other 20% of people are glad you have them. So if you're leading in the world with a connection strategy or an empathy strategy of trying to share your concerns and worries and story and victimhood, right? It is a tunnel with no cheese. And you don't deserve to run down it, guys, when there's a tunnel with a ton of cheese, right, on the other side. Now, let me show you how to get there. Okay. So Danny says, why should I care about theirs? You shouldn't care about their other opinion. I'm not saying don't care about other people. Caring about somebody else is having empathy. It's a sign of emotional maturity because it's not all about you. But caring about what other people think of you will prevent you from being the one person that you're meant to be, you. Because if you think showing up authentically which is the best way to do business, the best way to attract people that will stay with you, the best way for people to respect you or look up to you or want to be around you because you're who you are. They know where they stand. But if you're trying to fit in like some chameleon to somebody else's approval strategies, in fact, forget that, what you think might be somebody else's approval strategies, you're going to be on a hamster wheel of unfulfillment for a long time, guys. All right? Anyway, I'm conscious of time. I want to make sure we're moving forward here. Is this making sense, guys? All right. Okay, so let me come back to, where are we? Dun, da, da, da. Right, let's go to master skill number 2. And master skill number 2, ladies and gentlemen, mastery of emotional response. Mastery of emotional response. And again, if I'm looking over here, it doesn't mean to say I don't love you anymore. It means I'm trying to sort my screen out on this side. Bear with me. This is not a professional presentation. This is me passionately wanting to help you guys. So bear with me. Right. I want to share something with you, an awareness that is obviously pretty obvious, but for a lot of people, they don't realize it. One of the key attributes of people that are being successful right now, that are taking advantage of opportunities, attracting opportunities, being offered opportunities, being able to stand their ground, is mastery of emotional response, because unsuccessful people are slaves to their emotional response. Successful people are responding to situations. Unsuccessful people are reacting to situations. And trust me, as I said, there are a lot of smart people with a lot of smart certificates on the wall that are being paid lots of money to trigger your emotions, to push your buttons, to find your weak spots, to fill in the blank. You get the idea. So I want to give you a little reality check here, guys. All right, and that's this. On screen, you'll see a bunch of items. Let's pick one. Let's pick the Swiss Army knife. The Swiss Army knife is an object. It has absolutely no meaning. The corkscrew, bottle opener, is an object. It has no meaning. The Sharpie is a Sharpie. It has no meaning. Everything that we see in our outer world as objects or events in and of themselves have no meaning. What happens once we register in our mind the object and we label it, we will then attach a meaning and a story to it. And that story can either be empowering or disempowering in how it affects us. And that is down to how you choose to tell the story, not the object itself. Right? So, if you are trapped on a desert island and with some stuff and a Swiss Army knife, you will give an incredible amount of meaning to. If you were once mugged in a street by somebody with a Swiss Army knife, you would give it a different meaning. The knife itself has no meaning. You follow me here, guys? So a lot of the times when you look at something, a newspaper, for those of you still enough to read them, or watch a news report, in of itself, it's ink on a page, or it is a projected image on a flat screen. There is no inherent meaning if you choose not to ascribe meaning. Now, when you understand that, you can stop being automatically hooked by it. And the key here, guys, is that unsuccessful people in this climate are being led to give disempowering meanings to stuff and then tell themselves the story as to why they're a victim of it. And that sets their agenda, their tone, their mentality, their reticular activating system. And they wonder why they're having a tough time. Whereas what successful people are doing right now is they are giving zero meaning to anything that doesn't or wouldn't serve them. And they are giving an empowering meaning, a great meaning to things that do. Again, it's not walking around with an emotional ectomy. That's called being a robot. Being a human, we have emotions, but emotions are triggered by meaning. Hence, two men sat behind prison bars. One saw mud, the other saw stars. The condition is identical for both. One chose to perceive it differently. Right? So if it's out of the world and you can't control it, how are you perceiving it? And if you're focusing on what you can't control, getting sucked into other people's drama because you're looking for somewhere else to reattach your umbilical cord, and you're starting to give negative meaning to stuff that you're focusing on rather than empowering meaning, you will get taken out of this game like a wasp flushed down a toilet. Whereas if you can have emotional mastery, you understand it's simply about saying, well, that's just words on a page. What meaning am I giving it? That's just images on a screen. That's just a Sharpie pen. Check your meaning. It isn't automatic. And so, I'll give you an example. The best way to do this, my friends, is by contrast. Contrast frames are one of the most powerful techniques you can use for emotional redirection. I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say you're at work, for those of you that are still driving to an office, and you've been there for, 90 days, trial period, and the boss calls you in one morning, says, hey, Johnny, step in the office. Oh, boss wants to see me. I wonder what that's about. In fact, if it's story time, let's get me back on. There we go. Are we back? Yes. Boss says, hey, Johnny, step in the office. You're like, oh, is the boss mad at me? Is he, going to fire me? I know it's the end of my trial period. What's going to happen? And you sit down in front of the boss, and the boss says, Johnny, we've been looking at your performance for the last 3 months, and I've got to tell you, everybody loves you. You have really impressed us. You have gone above and beyond. You're not clock watching. You're adding value to the business. Your skill sets are clearly what you said they were and more. Thank you for being part of us. I want to give you a permanent contract, right? And by the way, I'm also going to give you a 10% pay rise. Now put yourself in the mind of Johnny for a second. What emotional state are you in leaving that office, right? Again, not an IQ testing question, right? But interact with me here, guys, because if not, I'm just going to talk too much. So I'll wait for the second or two before I catch up on the chat here. But what kind of mood is Johnny? What kind of mood would you be in if you were Johnny? And don't just say, great, that's boring. Get creative here. Oh, sorry to hear. You already put great by the time I said that. There we go. Right. Okay. Proud, happy, up, high, relief, excitement. Yeah. You're going to be in a pretty good mood. Outstanding. Thank you. So here's what happens to Johnny. Johnny goes, sits back down at his desk, and he's feeling great. And of course, an hour later, it's lunch break. So Johnny goes into the staff canteen, and Johnny starts chatting with Rachel. And Rachel's got a big smile on her face. She's like, hey, Rachel, what's happening? Rachel joined at the same time Johnny did. She says, oh, wow, I'm just really, really happy. He says, well, tell me more. He says, well, the boss called me in today and said he was really happy with all the work that I've been doing. And he gave me a surprise 20% pay rise. What mood is Johnny now in? Put yourself in Johnny's position. Yeah, there you are, stirring a cup of tea, right? As we do in England, right? And all of a sudden, he hears the words 20% pay rise. And he stops. What just happened to Johnny's emotional state? Right? Down. Right? Of course. Why? Because he's chosen to focus on lack rather than abundance. In other words, he started the day with nothing, but now he only has 10% more. Now, can he control what he's paid or what Rachel is paid? No, he can't control it. Yeah, but I do the same job. Doesn't matter. If you're going to focus on 10% down rather than 10% up, you are not going to have emotional mastery. And you're going to sit there with your thumb up your ass and a frown on your face for the rest of the day moping about it. In fact, you know what? It's probably going to ruin your relationship with your coworker, right? You're going to look at her, right, despising or jealous or envious or wondering if she's sleeping with a boss or whatever it may be. Your entire mismanaged imagination is going to go off to justify why you're right and she's wrong. Right? Don't tell me we don't do that all the time. So the trick to a contrast frame, guys, is to pick something always that you can be grateful for. And I can promise you, there are a ton of things that you can be grateful for right now. I don't care what it is. Let me share with you 2 quick stories in emotional mastery, and we'll move on to number 3, right? Because I want to get you out of here in the next 19 hours. Just kidding. All right, so a good friend of mine, Clive DeCarl, natural health expert, sells natural health supplements at the highest quality. Love Clive, mountain of knowledge. Clive wanted to do a study on recovering cancer patients, people that had been diagnosed at stage 4 cancer, which is terminal, and had refused any traditional therapy like chemotherapy, for example, like pharmaceutical therapy, and had gone it alone, but survived, went into remission, and were cancer-free. And of course, he thought, as a natural health guy, I want to know what diet they had. Diet plays a big part on cancer, right? Remember that. It's true. And so he started studying stage 4 cancer survivors to find out what is the commonality. And he analyzed what they ate, what supplements they took, how much sleep they had, what they were doing with their body, all of that stuff. Do you know what he found? It shocked him. He found that there was absolutely zero correlation. Some took vitamin C, some didn't take vitamin C. Some took magnesium and garlic, some didn't take magnesium. Some meditated, some didn't. Some had crystals, some didn't. Yeah, some did weird yoga poses, some did. You get the idea. There was zero commonality apart from one thing. Guys, we're talking about stage 4 cancer survivors here that never had chemo or anything else. There was only one common denominator. Do you know what it was? Gratitude. The people that went into remission at some point became immensely grateful. Whether it was grateful for the lessons that their disease had brought them, or grateful for the life that they'd already lived, or grateful for the life that they had left, what little of it they thought. And I don't mean thinking of things to be grateful. That keeps you in your head. I'm on about feeling, expressing gratitude. What's the difference? Simple. If you're feeling grateful and you're walking down the street with your friend, they're going to turn around and say, hey, what are you up to? There's something about you. There's an energy about you. If you're thinking grateful thoughts, they're not going to know because they can't read your mind. Is this making sense, guys? So you can always find something to be grateful for. You can always find a way to turn it around, to shift the meaning. I'll share one last story with you and we'll move on to Master Skill 3. Good friend of mine, Marius, called me and said, Peter, I've got a real problem. I need to speak to you. He's a former business partner of mine in Poland. And I said, sure, what's wrong? He says, I can't sleep. I'm stressed out of my mind. I'm worried. I need to talk to you. I'm like, dude, what's wrong? He said, I've got a lump on my chest. He's 44 years old. And they think it's cancer, or could be, and I've gone in for a biopsy. I'm not going to get the results for the next 2 weeks. I'm scared out of my mind. Okay. Some of you have got the same feelings, even though you may not have a lump in your chest. Most of you have had a lump in your throat over the last several months about what's happening to you. So stay with me here. So I said, Marius, what are you actually afraid of? He said, I'm afraid of dying. I'm like, well, that's not actually useful because at some point you're going to die. See, most people are afraid to die, or they think they are, but they're not. They're really afraid to live. I says, you're going to die at some point. That's part of the rules. The rule set says we're going to age and die. We don't get to choose when, but that's going to happen at some point. We don't get to dodge that bullet. Cool, correct? I said, so what are you really afraid of? Because not knowing or not having an empowering meaning for death is one of the things that stresses a lot of people out. See, for me personally, I don't think death is the opposite of life at all. I think death is the opposite of birth. But I said to Marius, what are you really afraid of? He said, well, I'm afraid of leaving my 2 boys fatherless. 2 beautiful boys, 9-year-old and 12-year-old. Yeah, I know the boys well. And I said, okay, well, let's look at it this way. I get that. At some point, do you want to leave them fatherless? What do you mean? He says, well, it's every parent's wish that their children outlive them. Correct? Well, yeah, sure. I just don't want it to be now. He says, I get that. We don't get to choose when. it's always too soon, but at some point you're going to leave them fatherless. So what should I do? Just accept it? I says, no. Here's how I would look at this. 5 years after you go, let's say it's 20 years from now, 120 years from now, whatever it is, hopefully you will die before your children. 5 years after that date, whatever that date's going to be on the timeline, and I personally think it's going to be a long way away, but let's just say whatever it is, 5 years after, is it likely that one of your boys may have a challenge of his own somewhere in life? Of course. Why? Because successful people understand the difference between why we're here and why we're not. See, successful people understand, especially the people in this crisis right now, that life is a growth-centric experience, not a comfort-centric experience. People that are struggling with emotional mastery think that life is a comfort-centric experience, but it's not. It's a growth-centric experience. So at some point, based on the design of the nature of the classroom that we're in this Earth School, do you think it's possible, if not predictable, that your boys are going to have a serious challenge of their own? Let's not say a health challenge, because that's too emotive. Let's say, could it be a nasty divorce, for example? Is that possible? Look around today's world. Sure. Right? I said, so 5 years after you've died, can you help them? No. I said, you're wrong. Oh, you can certainly help them. He looked at me like that. What do you mean? I says, here's how. Your children will do what you do, not what you tell them to do. Parents, have you figured that out yet? Right? If you smoke 40 cigarettes a day and you tell your 16-year-old not to smoke, I got news for you. Within 12 months, you're going to be sharing cigarettes, or they're going to be stealing them from you. Right? So children do what their parents do, and that's based on something called mirror neurons in the brain. They're programmed to do it. Do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Well, nice in theory, doesn't work in practice. I said, so imagine at this time where one of them's going through a pretty messy divorce. Let's just say you've got a vindictive partner with better lawyers, right? We all know why that goes. So, and he sort of half laughed. And I said, they're going to turn around, or his other brother might turn around at that point and say, hey, do you remember that time that dad thought he had cancer? And he didn't even know for 2 weeks. How did he show up? Do you remember how he showed up? He was calm. He was like, don't worry, boys, we'll get through this no matter what happens, right? You can't control what you can't control, but I'm going to show up, right, and make sure that no matter what happens, we'll all be okay. Do you remember how that? Wow. So you've got an example to leave your kids now, I said to Marius, regardless of what happens on what you can't control. And that, whether it's in a year from now or 100 years from now, is a massive lesson that you can give them. And he's like, he got it. Guys, some of you are in pain right now. Some of you got a lump in your throat. Some of you got a hole, not in your chest, but in your wallet, or in your business books, or whatever it may be, or your relationship based on what's happened. There are people around you that look up to you, whether it's children, friends, co-workers, who are also experiencing pain. You have a potentially once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right now to give them the gift of you being the best version of you to show up in this climate. Not from a place of panic and scarcity and moaning and OPD, but from a place of calm, understanding that you choose what you focus on and you can't control what you can't control, so you let it go and you channel that energy that's released into what's the next best move. And so many people are throwing that opportunity away right now. Right? Your kids are looking at you as an example of calm under pressure. Your spouse is looking at you thinking, where's the person I married? Or, wow, now that, I didn't even see that was the person I married, but they're amazing. Right? Yes, you may have to downsize. Yes, you may lose your business. Yes, your kids may have to go to a different school. You know something? We'll get through it. If that's what we've got to deal with, if that's the weight on the bar in the gym right now, let's go do the workout, because trying to hide behind the treadmill ain't going to cut it. Am I making sense here, guys? All right. So, and again, I'm not trying to be diminishing to anybody's challenges. And I've got as many challenges as you guys, trust me. Right? But I understand what's the best way to navigate out of the maze without getting stuck in the swamp. Right? That's why I want to share this with you. Hopefully that's making sense. All right, let's bring this back. Guys, I'll take questions at the end. I'll do a Q&A at the end of this as well, so that we can all take some individual questions. So let me put my screen share back on. Bosh. Okay, are we back? Let's move to something that I really want to help you with actually, before we move on, this is a practical exercise I'm going to need your help with, because I can't do this for you, but it is a quick 4-step process to unhook from negative emotions. And it's what I call the emotional mastery exercise. And so I want you guys to think this will take literally less than 2 minutes and can be a game changer for you if you allow it to be. Let me say that again. Yeah, this can take less than 2 minutes and be a game changer for you if you allow it to be. All right. Let me just make sure I've got this all set up. All right, there we are. So I want you to just imagine for a second some of the emotions that are, let's just say, not exactly optimal you've been feeling over the last little while during this COVID pandemic, without getting into that game. Right? Some of the emotions are coming up. Throw them in the chat, guys. What have you been experiencing? Interact with me here. Give me some resourceful emotions that you may have dipped into or got stuck in or what have you throughout this entire journey that we've been on in 2020. What are some of the issues we've got here? Unsettled, Jasmine, thank you. Anger, yeah. Confusion, absolutely. Overwhelmed, all right. Stressed, fear, frustration, pressure, sadness, missing my daughters, anger, fear, frustration, depressed. Okay, I get it, guys. Anxiety, absolutely. I'm with you. Totally understand. Again, this is not a pretend to be happy training. This is a how do we navigate into the sunshine, out of the dark. So what if I was to tell you that there was a very quick and easy method of being able to unhook from getting that emotion from, or stopping that emotion from dragging you down? And there's 4 steps. And not only do I want to share them with you, I actually want you to experience it as we go through them, so you get a live demonstration on yourself, because then it becomes real. So are you willing to do that? Now, bearing in mind, most of the things, guys, that are triggering these states, are stuff that you cannot control, correct? And I'm looking at it. Missing my relatives, being lied to, all of that. You can't control that. So if it does start to hook you, let me at least give you a skill that I teach. It's a basic skill. We do far more advanced ones and will be part of the test group that I'll be teaching you through the next level. But I want to give you something now and be respectful of your time. So I want to wrap this up in the next 30 minutes for you guys to actually take away and be useful with. So here's where we are. All right. Step 1. Now, this may sound strange, but stay with me because some of this is going to be counterintuitive. Locate it. What do you mean? It's inside me, for God's sake. Yes. Where? You will find that emotions actually have an epicenter, a center of gravity, and it's different for different emotions in different people. And you'll understand why this is an important step in a moment. But stop. Breathe. If you're feeling angry, where is it? Is it tightness in the chest? Is it in your gut? If you're feeling lonely, is it like an ache in your heart? If you're feeling frustrated, do you feel the energy in your hands? You just want to crush something? You will find that it has a location. Now, dip into that emotion. We've got to make it real here, guys. I don't want to take you into a tailspin, and don't worry, I will pull you out of it. But I want to make it real so it's real for you. If it's not your experience, it's not your truth. All right. Again, theory doesn't cover the price of admission. So just go and visit. It'll only be temporary. But I want you to experience this. One of those emotions, whether it's frustration, anger, loneliness, whatever it may be, hopelessness, apathy, stress, just go back and think of one of those things that triggered that and start to feel that emotion. And the second you start to experience that emotion, start to feel it come up, I want you to place your attention on where is it strongest? Where is it strongest? Okay. And a few of you can feel it here, right? Type it in. You can see there's different locations for different emotions in different people. So notice that it's got an epicenter. Now, for some of you, if you're that in touch with your sort of body because you're a little bit numb, that's okay. If it seems to be everywhere, just go with it. Now, the next step, second step, is to identify it. When I say identify it, a lot of the time we use very broad labels. Is it confusion or is it frustration? Is it anxiety or stress? Yeah, or is it, yeah, again, a level of upset because somebody said something and it's actually triggering a response of not good enough, right? And that's what you're reacting to. So try to identify it as narrowly as you can. Now, I know some emotions don't come in alone, they come in groups, but there will be one predominant feeling. And if we take a big label like fear or anger, what is it specifically? Is it more a case of, I'm feeling aggressive? Now, that's a slightly more nuanced version of anger. I'm feeling trapped, and that's what's causing the anger. What is the actual emotion you're really feeling? Try to drill down and get a little more specific. And there's reason why we're doing this, right? There's a reason these two steps. Yeah. Is it sadness, Giles? Yeah. Or is it emptiness? Or is it, let's have a think. It's not an emotion I relate to very often, to be fair. But sadness could also be resignation, hopelessness. You get the idea? So locate it and identify it. Now, once you've done that, what you'll actually be doing is separating yourself from the emotion. Rather than saying, I am angry, you can now be more truthful with your language and say, I am experiencing the emotion of anger in my chest. Now, what that does, that creates separation. Because if you're angry, there ain't anything you can do about it. Because it's who you are, it's your identity. But if you realize that you aren't angry, you're just feeling the emotion of anger, which happens to be strongest or centered in a certain place. That creates a separation, which allows step 3. And step 3 is to observe it. Now, when you observe, again, you're disidentifying yourself. You're removing yourself from the emotion. And that's a tough thing that most people have never practiced. But I'm going to give you the key to this. One of the best states that you can get into when that comes up, and you've labeled it, you've located it, you've labeled it, is to get curious. Get curious. It's like, oh, there it is. That'll help with your ability to observe it. Now, the next and the final step is the one that nobody actually does because it's so counterintuitive, but it will work like magic. And I promise you guys, step number 4, allow it to finish. What do you mean by that? When you understand what emotions are the byproduct of certain thinking patterns. Every thought, in fact, I'm going to tell you this here, guys. I'll bring it back in a second, but yeah, honestly, right? Follow me on this one because it's key. Emotions are the after effect, the byproduct, the consequence of certain thinking patterns, i.e. think an angry thought. You are going to dump chemicals into the bloodstream of adrenaline, cortisol, different stressed hormones. Think a loving thought, you're going to be dumping in oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, all of the feel-good hormones. That's why you can't be angry if you think happy thoughts. That's why smiling and being depressed doesn't go together, because when you smile, your brain produces different chemicals, right? So every thought that you think produces a chemical, a neuropeptide, a hormone, a neurotransmitter that goes into the bloodstream. And once it's in the bloodstream, it cycles. If you've ever seen a picture of where they put a radioisotope into the blood so they can track it, you will actually see the journey of your blood as it goes around the body. And that journey takes around about 60 seconds before it completes its cycle. Now, here's the thing. If you are allowing those feelings, I didn't say act on those feelings. Oh, I feel sad, I'm just going to cry. I didn't say, no, if you separate yourself and get curious, you can just feel sad. Be with the sadness. Be with the anger. Be with the upset. Allow it to do what it needs to do. It has to complete its 60 to maximum 90-second cycle. And then guess what? It's out of the bloodstream. It's flushed. It's gone. And you don't feel the emotions anymore. Now, what most people do is that they feel angry, it's running around, they resist it. So they're putting more energy into it, which causes more angry thoughts, which then puts more chemicals in, and you go on a cycle that never stops. You never create a separation and a 60 to 90 second gap. You're always squirting more ink into the cycle, so it never gets clear. Is this making sense? Now, the truth is this, guys. All unresisted emotions turn to joy. And you've got to experience that. All unresisted emotions, at the very worst, turn neutral, but vast majority turn to joy. And I'm going to run this through with you right now. So let's go back. We've got a feeling, right? Let's make it real. Anchor that negative feeling, go back to it, think the thoughts that you would normally think. Oh my God, the media is lying to me. They're going to force vaccinate my kids. My boss is making me redundant. I can't pay the mortgage. Whatever it is, all of that crap, right? They're the thoughts we think, which are going to put stress hormones in. Go to the emotion right now and locate it. Where is it? What is it? Okay. Don't have to type. I want you to focus on here, guys. Locate it. Identify it. Drill down on the label. And then what I want you to do is I want you to just observe it. Breathe. Continue to breathe, but observe it. And what you'll notice is that you'll be able to see it. You're separating yourself. Now, here's where most people fall down. When you start to allow it, you essentially unlock or take away the resistance. And just like a hose, if you're squeezing a hose, there's back pressure. So when you finally let go of the hose, it kind of flushes, it floods in. There's like an overburst. And that's why most people, when they finally let it out, they push it down again because they're scared. Oh, it's increasing. No, it is a very temporary 10-second maximum release of the back pressure. Once that back pressure is gone, it will settle down and then start to complete its cycle. That's why you need 60 to 90 seconds. So if you're observing, oh, wow, yeah, there's that feeling. That's where it's feeling even higher, right? That's okay. Stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it as it calms down. Don't react to the back pressure that then suddenly gets more intense. If you can do that, it'll go back. And yeah, Paula, a good cry now and again is a good thing. But what you really want to be doing is understanding the biology of what's going on with your thinking and feeling. Now, if you can do that, some of you, if you've managed to do this already, just get curious, allow it. Don't resist it. The second you resist it, guess what? You're going to start the cycle again. That's okay. It takes a bit of practice. But some of you are already starting to see how this works. Some of you are starting to feel how this works. Am I right? Okay. Now, back pressure. Yeah, absolutely. Just let it go and it'll calm down. So guys, if you've gone through that, some of you have had an experience there where you allowed that, you'll even start smiling, a lot of you, afterwards. Right? You're like, where did that emotion go? I was feeling upset a minute ago and it's gone. Right? Anybody feel that? Give me some. Jacob says, what the hell? I just burst out laughing. Yeah, it just goes away. Who would have thought? So, guys, when you are caught in a cycle of negative thinking because somebody else has hooked your attention and you're focusing on what you can't control, which is making angry and frustrated, then you can't break out of that. But if it gets hooked, if you're sleeping awake, as we all do, and you just happen to get tripped or hooked, you now have a technique, a very easy, fast technique for unhooking from that so it doesn't drag you down the toilet, but you're able to climb out before your feet touch the water, to stick with that metaphor. Right? Is that useful, guys? Awesome. I want to move on because, as ever, I'm over delivering on time here, and I want to get you guys through this. And I'm so grateful you're still with me here, by the way. But I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick because there's 2 other quick master skills to get through, and some of you there's going to be a real eye opener. So let me just turn screen share back on. There we go. So I want to move to master skill number 3. Now, this is what a lot of the people that are crushing it right now are doing. And it's something that I teach my students. It's something we're going to be drilling down on the test group with but it's something that most people in traditional society are completely unaware of, right? And that is, my friends, using the secret weapon of through me, right? What do I mean by that? We all know that our attitude is what's important, not the outer world. We've established that, right? And trying to give you some control back over your attitude to the outer world. But rather than trying to raise your bank balance, I want you to think about raising your conscious awareness. And that gets very nebulous for a lot of people. So I'm going to break it quickly into 4 levels that you'll be able to recognize and work with. And the first one is the level of what I call to me. And this is where so many thousands and millions of people right now are wallowing and wondering why they're upset and nothing's going right. The level of to me is where you say, oh, well, I would have the life I want. I would be able to feed my kids the food I want to buy them. I would be able to have all the plans that I made for this year, but everything's happening to me. It is the quintessential victim story. Now, you will stay there unless you do 2 things. And by the way, victim story don't work, right? Nowhere in nature is victim rewarded. But you need to do 2 things to get out of that immediately. One is to give up blame. Blame does not work anywhere. And remember, 80% of people don't care about your problems. 20% are glad you have them. If you can give up blame, blaming the economy, blaming the evil people at the World Health Organization, blaming the government and Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, whoever the hell it is, blaming the neighbors next door for doing whatever they're doing. When you can give up blame and you can replace that with personal responsibility, you can get out of victim mentality. You cannot get out of victim mentality until you do that. Now, the reason you'd want to do that is because A, it sucks, but B, more importantly, it allows you to get to the next level. And the next level is what I call buy me. Buy me is where you're saying, you know something? I can't control what I can't control, but I can control what I will control, and I'm going to go and make it happen by me. I'm going to go out and get resourceful. I'm going to sort this out. I'm not accepting limitations. I don't care what X, Y, or Z says. I'm going to do it anyway. And you start focusing on how you can, not why you can't. Now, buy me is a far better place to live than to me. But the people that are crushing it right now are doing 2 things that are taking them out of buy me and getting to the next level where all of the juice is. And to get out of buy me, one of the first things you have to give up, guys, and this is so hard for a lot of you, I get it, is give up the need for control. Oh, how many people just said, what do you mean? You control freaks. I didn't say give up control. I said give up the need for control. And a lot of that is understanding how to separate what we can and what we can't control, because most people are trying to control what they can't, and they have a need for that. And then if it doesn't go their way, they freak out. And that sticks you in buy me and gets you more frustrated. Okay? If you give up the need for control, what have you got to replace it with? Well, you've got to replace it with trust, faith, and knowing in something bigger than you. I'll give you a case study on this in a minute, right? If you turn around, like one of my students I'll share with you, and says, I don't know why this is happening, which has ruined his kind of career and all of his business and everything else, but I know it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. He's giving up the need for control and placing his trust or faith in something bigger than him. He knows this will be better. And that alone, guys, is a game changer. If you do that, you can get to the level I'm talking about. This is where you're in through me. Through me is where life is flowing through you. Stuff happens in your favor more than it happens to spite you. Now, it's not the magical Pollyanna world because we still live in a growth-centric experience. But this is where synchronicities happen. This is where stuff in the outer world, regardless of what other people are labeling it, rearranges itself for your benefit. And I don't care what you say or believe. Every single one of you has experienced this at some level. The problem is you just don't know how to do it consciously. And right now you're doing the exact opposite, to go from through me down to buy me into to me, rather than getting up out of buy me and trying to control or bitch about the world and get into through me, right? Give up the need to control what you can't control and start replacing it in a bigger picture. If this is a tough scene in your movie, celebrate the fact it's a tough scene and it's going to be one hell of a movie, right? There's opportunities here you're not looking at because you're too busy focused either on yourself or your problems rather than how the universe can turn these problems into your advantage if you align with it. Now, there is another level here, guys, which is what I call if you give up the illusion of separateness and replace it with unconditional love. Very tough today for a lot of people. You can get into a state of transcendence or what I call ASME, right? That's not where we're going. This is not an ASME workshop. That's that's off the table for a lot of people right now. My job's to get you out of victim mode into buy me and hopefully into through me, right? Which is where we're going with the test group. So I want to give you a quick example because tattoo this on your eyelids. Outer world follows inner world, guys, not the other way around. And we've been taught it and conditioned it the opposite. Outer world follows inner world. I'm going to demonstrate it with a very quick movie script metaphor. Imagine you're the movie of your life, and your movie, like most people's movie right now, is what? It's a drama. It's a soap opera. It's a horror show. Well, I want you to imagine that every single floor of this building has a team of script writers that are focused on one genre. The lower floors, the to-me floors, are focused on drama and upset and tragedy and hopelessness and some really crappy movie that you don't want to star in. The people slightly higher up are more on buy me. They're trying to get their way out and get resourceful. On the higher floors, you have through it. It's a comedy. It's a rom-com. It's an adventure. Now, here's the thing with most people. Most people that are in the drama floor are walking up to the script writers and saying, I hate this crap that you're writing for me in my movie. Yeah, and they're trying to grab the pen and they're trying to write better lines. Doesn't work that way. Your job, guys, is not to try to control the script writers. Your job is to get in the elevator and press up. Outer world follows inner world. I hope that makes sense for you guys. And again, there's a whole teaching behind how to do this on a consistent basis. But I'm limited on time here to really share with you, but hopefully you get that. And again, I'll share a case study. I want to make it real. This is Tony Nicholson, one of my greatest students and success stories. He's the guy I just told you about. If you go see the video I talk about Tony on YouTube, it's got over 1 million views on it. And Tony was living in China. And Tony called me in January at the beginning and says, hey, Pete, there's this virus thing that's going on. They've shut half the country down. In fact, there's 700 million people under lockdown. I'm like, right, what a stupid country. Why would China do that? And clearly the rest of the world would never do that. Shows what I know. Tony's an actor. I won't tell you his backstory. That's not important right now. But Tony's an actor. And he just had a bit part, a small part, as one of the only foreigners in a movie that became the biggest box office smash of 2019. It was called SWAT. And you go check it out. It's on the Chinese. It's a Chinese film. It's Chinese box office. He speaks Chinese. English guy. And in fact, I'll tell you this story. Where are we? Let's get me back on here. All right. Am I back? Cool. So you've got to hear this, guys. It's awesome. So Tony had this little bit part. And then he got shut down. He's also a personal trainer, high level, and he's makes his money personal training and acting. And they shut the country down on lockdown. And guess what? He lost all of his auditions and interviews, couldn't do any filming. All of the budgets got pulled, and he couldn't train his clients. He's losing money. So he said to me, yeah, it's on lockdown. It's strange over here. And I said, being the mentor, so what does that mean? And he smiled and he says, it means this is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I have absolutely no clue how, but I'm going to be excited about how it shows up. Right? And he's authentic about that. It's not lip service. He's emotional master. He focuses on what he can control. What he can control is his own state. Anyway, long story short, because the country's on lockdown, what happens? Everybody's watching Netflix or the Chinese equivalent where his movie's on. 1 billion extra views on Netflix. Yeah, on this movie, or Chinese flicks, or whatever it's called, right? He becomes a megastar. Now, what happens later is because it's been so successful, everyone says, wow, this movie's like took off. It got so much more budget through the box office because of that. What did they do? They decided only on that basis to write SWAT 2, the sequel, Return of the SWAT. I don't know, whatever it's going to be called, right? And guess what? Tony was the only bad guy in the first movie that wasn't killed. He was sent to prison. So the entire script for the second movie, budget's already been signed off, filming schedules put in place, is now all about Tony as the star being broke out of prison and leading the new gang. And I'm not allowed to tell you what the plot is, nor do I know it all. But yeah, this is going to take his acting presence in China and just blow it through the roof. In other words, COVID became the greatest thing that has ever happened to him. And I could give you 10 more stories like that, guys, but I just want to make this real. Why? Because outer world follows inner world. If you're focusing on why it's a shit show out there, the universe will rearrange it into a shit show for your movie. But it's like improv. Yeah, a good actor, if something goes offset that he wasn't expecting, he rolls with it because it's his job or her job to turn it around and still make it a good scene, even though they can't control what happened. If the film extra says the wrong line, they'll roll with it, might turn it into a better scene. Are you with me? All right, that's why people that are in through me operate at a different level. They're not trying to control everything. Right? They flow with the river of life. They don't try to swim upstream. They recognize every river bends and winds. Okay, so let's hear it for Tony, guys, boys and girls. And again, go follow him on Instagram. He's got like 500,000 followers. His story is just incredible. Go check him out. He's an amazing guy. All right, and I'm really proud to have played a tiny little role in his success. And lovely to see him become or step into his greatness and turn things around no matter what happens. Okay, guys, let's move on. So I want to wrap this up as I promised. The next one is super important because this is a critical skill. Because listen to me, you've given me 90 minutes of your time here, guys. I'm not going to take much more unless you really insist. But yeah, I've hopefully given you at least 3, about to be 4, really key techniques and master skills to help turn 2020 around. But I have to tell you, this next one is the most important. I can give you all the techniques. I can give you all of the methodologies. I can give you all of the insights. But unless you take this next one seriously, which I can't do for you, the other 3 will not be effective. Right? And that is, my friends, leverage the power of peer group. And the reason for that is because of the following statement. Listen to me. Yeah, you become who you hang with. And it's down to something called the law of conformity. Look at that second line and write it down somewhere. Type it somewhere. Put it on your rearview mirror. Yeah, in the car. Yeah, put it on your bathroom mirror. Environment beats will. Now, I've just said you can turn your environment to your advantage. Correct. However, we are programmed to conform to our environment in a social setting. What do I mean by that? Is that you can have all of the intention to master your emotions. You can have all of the intention to let go of what you can't control. You can have all of the intention to try to live in through me. But if you surround yourself with people that are watching mainstream media and telling you how bad it is, if you're surrounding yourself with people that are talking about why the sky is falling in, if you're surrounding yourself and being programmed by people that are telling you you're not good enough and it's a load of bullshit and stop putting your head in the clouds, you will become one of them. Sorry, I love you. There's no other way to say it. Well, there is another way to say it. I'll say it this way. Right? It's a great metaphor for you. You can have all of the intention to be warm. You can wear warm clothes. You can run on the spot. You can try to drink warm soup. But if you live in a freezer, the environment is going to beat will over time, every time. So the most successful people right now that I see that are literally turning this to their advantage, that are surviving and thriving in this global times of uncertainty, are the people who are systematically, consciously, and willingly using their intention to upgrade or rearrange their peer group. That comes in 2 parts. It comes in looking for people to hang with that support you, and it means avoiding the people that don't, or hanging with the people that are going where you want to go and are thinking like you want to think, and avoiding the people that don't. Am I making sense here? Guys, again, and people say, yeah, but how do I do that? Well, I've got some tips for you here, and then we'll wrap this baby up, and I'll show you what I'm looking for the 20 people that I want to work with personally over the next 6 months to validate all of this and then become a case study success story. So here we go. Right? I become who I hang with. That's it, guys. You hang around with 10 recreational drug users, you're going to become the 11th. You hang around with 10 motivated, high conscious, how we can, not why we can't people, you're going to become the 11th. You don't get to choose. You only get to adapt. Just like the body, put it in McDonald's or put it in the gym. Yeah, you get to choose. It will adapt. Therefore, the fastest way to make lasting changes in your life is to surround yourself with people who are either at or going towards the same direction. I would add to that, thinking the same kind of thoughts, on the same kind of journey. Making sense? Okay. So, guys, in a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, Archie, in a minute. My dog wants to go out. So, first things first, how do you do that? Right. Know where you're going, and more importantly, why you want to get there. Right? Where do you want to go? Do you want to be high conscious? Do you want to be? I've got to let my dog out, guys. Sorry with me here. Yeah, this is real training 101. Let's have a look. Oh my goodness, he's wearing shorts. Of course, I'm in Tenerife. Go on, Arch. Come on, Belle. There you go. You might want to come back afterwards. I'll introduce him afterwards. Guys, it's making sense. Where are you going? Remember, if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. Right? You're meandering through the forest. Go back to your intention. If you do know where you're going, you've got a really good shot at getting there. But more importantly, know why. Are you going in the direction of wanting to put your income back because you're scared about what your family will think, or because you really want to take advantage of one of the greatest opportunistic times in human history? See, if your why is about you and not feeling good enough, you're not going to have the juice. If your why is about because you want to become a better version of yourself so that you can show the world an example, not a warning, you're going to have more power, and a peer group of people that you want to join are going to sense that and spot that. Make sense? Cool. Thanks, guys. And again, please interact with me here. I'm trying to go a little quick for time, but I promise you this is going to be worth it. Second, raise your own standards. If you're looking for a peer group to try to pick you up and you want to hang around tidy people because you're an untidy slob, ain't going to happen. You've got to raise your own standards first. If you want to become, have a higher ability to handle uncertainty, and you think, oh, I'm just going to hang around with a load of people that are entrepreneurs, then guess what? All right, not going to happen. So you've got to raise your own standards first. Second, love your family, choose your friends. All right. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, it's all right saying environment beats will, but you don't live with my mother-in-law. You haven't got my brother. Yeah, I get it, guys. Look at your family. Again, can you control what you can't control? Can you control your brother being your brother? No. So instead, use the contrast frame. Look at your brother as somebody who's the personal trainer in your emotional gym. They're there to put the weight on the bar to allow you the opportunity to practice letting go of emotions, to build that muscle, to practice staying, not getting hooked into negativity, to practice not getting sucked into other people's drama, right? Love them for that, and you'll probably find out they shift. Okay. Next, commit to being vulnerable, real, and authentic. Authentic is the biggest one, guys. Let me share with you something I normally share at the end of a 3-day event. The purpose of life is not to be happy. The purpose of life is to be authentic. That's why you need to feel the emotions in order to let them go, not pretend they don't exist or battle them or blame them. That's why being grateful for cancer rather than saying, right, I'm going to beat this thing and create more stress in the body, which is probably what brought it there in a minute, is way more powerful. Are you getting me here, guys? All right? Authentic. You can't be authentic if you're driven to try to fit in somewhere or care about the good opinion of others, or try to control what you can't control. So you're getting out of your comfort zone in a way where you're emotionally unsettled. Okay. Next, seek first to add before you ask. If you want to join a peer group, again, it ties back to one of the first things, right? raising your own standards. Choose a peer group where you can add value, not take something. All right? And there's lots of peer groups out there. There's lots of mentorships. There's lots of masterminds. There's lots of groups. Yeah, I was in EO for many years, the Entrepreneurs Organization. I wanted to go into there so I could add value to my forum mates. And I would pay £10,000, £15,000 a year membership fees and event fees every year to be part of that group, right? Because I had to commit, right? But I was looking to add value. If you get a member that comes in that just wants to take off everybody else, they don't last very long before they're asked to leave. Yeah, hope this is making sense. Okay. Now, the next one, I'm not going to drill down too much. I'm just going to give you a taster here, but check that your need for contribution, growth, and growth is higher than your need for connection, significance, and certainty. Yeah, some of my students will understand that model. It's also a model that Tony Robbins teaches, but it kind of ties back to this one. Seek first to add value, contribute, so that because you want to grow before, I want to get more connection, significance, and certainty. All right, guys, it's making sense to you here. If you follow those key points, you'll be able to go out and find or locate a peer group for you that will transform your ability to apply this in an environment that will nurture your growth. And if it doesn't nurture your growth, get out of it. And again, I could go into 15 different keys to XYZ. You don't need it. Practice these 4 master skills, right? If you can do that, right, you will have a massive advantage over virtually everybody else. Choose your focus. Don't let it get chosen for you, right? Master your emotional response. Use contrast frames and then the emotional disarmament technique that I taught you earlier. Shift 3, commit to learning about and getting into a state of through me. When the outer world can rearrange itself for your benefit, no matter what it looks like to anyone else, that is living at a completely quantum level of experience that you have to actually experience in order to believe. And virtually all of my students that go there, and certainly all of the people on the case study, will be giving testimonials and examples of, and what we normally say is this: constantly amazed, never surprised, right? So it's one of our phrases. And then obviously leverage the power of a peer group. If you do not change the environment that you're in, if you don't have a go-to of people that can support you, right? If you think that you're weird in the world because you're looking at this from a different angle to everybody else and you don't let it go, you are going to get worn down through how the game works. Again, you put your body in the gym and change your diet. You don't get to choose whether it changes. It will change. It's part of the rule set. Same for you guys. So peer group is the key to putting all this together in an environment that will nurture your growth. So on that notice, guys, hopefully, thanks for staying with me. Let's just put our last little invitation out here, and then I'm going to go to Q&A and make this personal for you guys. Right? I mentioned at the beginning that I'm looking for 20 people to be a case study here for the next 6 months. Now, this is going to be an application-based process because I want to make sure that people are, here we go, invitation to become unstoppable. I want to make sure that people are the right kind of people, because I don't want to put my time and effort in over the next 6 months and have somebody who can't be bothered, can't be asked, or doesn't show up for the training. This makes sense, obviously. So, yeah, some of you are probably already thinking, wow, this is something that I'm interested in. Some of you are thinking, well, hey, listen, those 4 keys, I want to go out and do them on my own. Total respect. Yeah, I will keep putting out content to support you guys. But I want to show the world that there is a way to make this real, because most people won't believe it until they see it. And if I can take 20 of you along with some other of my personal peer group and spend the next 6 months creating magic, then we're going to get a lot of attention, and you are going to be a huge example to your community, to your family, and to the world. And that's what I'm trying to build here, guys. So some of you know that obviously peer group is everything to me. I've got to be very careful about my environment. However, I don't have any family. I don't have any brothers or sisters, or both of my parents have passed away. No grandparents. They died by the time I was 6. I have some distant uncles and cousins that I haven't seen in years and years for most of them. But I decided to create my own peer group and be able to create an environment where people could massively transform and move forward. And twice a year, a couple of times, we open it up to allow some more people in that we'd like to choose. So that's what I want to share with you. And the peer group, I'm very honored and very proud to say, and we've probably got some members here as well. So feel free to jump in, guys. It's called my Elite Mentorship Forum. You may have seen it. Has anybody read the inside track, by the way? If you have, thank you so much. If not, go get it, right? The inside track was private letters that I wrote to my Elite Mentorship Forum peer group. Yeah. And it's more than a peer group, guys. It's my family. But we have ran 8 EMF trainings over the last several years. And we're about this week to launch EMF 9. And I'm going to keep it small and tight because I want to make this a case study for the world. So there's going to be a lot more personal attention. And I'm keen to take these people out. And I'll give you a link to apply in a moment if you wish, if you think this is for you. But let me share with you what's involved because I want to be specific. Remember, theory doesn't cover the price of admission. So here's what I'm looking to measure. 1, how fast you can generate zero risk. Why? There is a cost to join, guys, obviously, right? If you don't pay for something, you don't pay attention. And I'm going to commit 6 months of my time and effort to make you exceptionally successful. The last thing I want is somebody to say, oh, yeah, I'll give it a shot and don't have any skin in the game. However, for those that are willing to commit, I'm going to see how fast we can get you to zero risk where we get that financially back as fast as possible. We're also going to measure your stress levels before and after. Right? In fact, it's going to be fun to see that. Happiness and fulfillment. Now, listen to me here, guys. Important distinction. All right? Let me share. Most people in life find out too late there is a massive difference between a life chasing what they think is success and a life chasing fulfillment. And when you understand the difference, it's a game changer. All right. So we're going to check your happiness and fulfillment levels. We're going to measure the quality of your relationships, intimate relationships. More importantly, the relationship with yourself. All right. People never rise above the opinion of themselves, my friends. And nobody can ever love you more than you love yourself. So we'll see how the impact is on your quality of relationships at every level. Spouse, kids, self, boss, employees. Overall financial health, because when more of you show up, you can give more of you to the world, you get more money back. That's how it works. So there's going to be an emphasis right away on the financial aspects of how to turn that around. There's so many opportunities there now. It's unbelievable. But if you're focused on lack, you're not going to find them. So let's get that handled. Your ability to handle uncertainty. Would that be useful right now? 100%. But in 6 months, you're going to say, COVID? Bring me freaking aliens from Mars. I'll handle that. Now, when everyone else is freaking out, you're like, guys, I got this. That's where we want to take you. How you rate and feel about your future. If you're excited about your future, if you've got a compelling future that drives you out of bed, you're going to vibrate the world massively differently than if you think that there's, a dead-end tunnel with no cheese but a mousetrap. What are you going to get over the next 6 months? Well, you're going to have me as your mentor and coach. That's it. And if you want me personally one-on-one, I charge $100,000 a year for that, guys. So, that's why I'm making this small but massively affordable. You're also going to have an amazing new peer group, right? You're going to bond with people that will support you. And when you graduate after 6 months, you'll have a couple of hundred people that are all at this level that I'm going to introduce you to that become your new family. 30 years of my knowledge in 12 modules, 12 live Q&A calls and 12 community calls with each other, because I really want to build that peer group with you so you really get to understand. So every single week, you're going to be getting on a call and you're going to have some incredible learnings I'm going to drill down on. Guys, I've given you hour and 40 minutes today. Imagine what 6 months is going to do. There's 3 phases. I'll run through it quick. You can read on the screen. I'm not going to spend much time on it. Understanding how the world works and mastering the mindset of money is the most important one for most people to link to fulfillment and financial abundance. That's why we handle it with the first lesson. Journey to mastery, mastering emotions. We spent an entire 2 weeks on. Primary relationships. Concentration. I mentioned that at the beginning. Most of you, I'm blessed, have been concentrating already, so thank you. Authenticity, the purpose of life. how to reinvent goals that drive you out of bed in a different way to how most people set them. Multiple personality disorder, how to deal with all of the different voices in your head that most people have in an empowering way, not a disempowering way. Kick that negative thing off the shoulder that keeps the self-doubt, self-talk, procrastination, and all of that. And then we're going to wrap up in the last 2 months, the last 8 weeks, dissecting your psychology, rebuilding it into an incredible level, getting to advanced levels of consciousness so you can live more consistently and through me, and then creating a legacy that you can be proud of at the end of your movie. There's also annual festivals, meetups. I mentioned these are my friends, my family. EMF is the people I love so much. You have no idea. So what does it cost and how do you apply? And thank you, Amy. You can see it here as well. And guys, just want to share this with you because it's application only. And we will be looking for 20 people only. We are going to cut off the doors at that point. Right, so if this is for you, the total investment that we let EMF go for is usually $6,995. That's not hyperbole. That's the price. And that's just over $1,000 a month, guys, which for what we're doing is great. Might be out of the way. However, we're going to let it go here for $4,995. And there's also some payment plans to make it easy for you if you wish. I'm committed to getting the right people in here. Don't let that be an objection. Plus, guys, if that's out of the way for you, we've also got other stuff for a fraction of that we can help you with. So apply anyway. And if this is out of your range, I'm still going to send you some stuff that I think is going to massively help, right? Because I know this isn't for everyone. And again, I'm only looking for 20 people here. Only 20 places. So that's where we're going. And let me just going backwards. Let me just go blah, 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 blah. And it starts this week. Again, we open it twice a year. It starts this week. So guys, that's where I'm looking to head. And if you want to apply, I think there's going to be something on screen that my team's going to put on. And if you do fill out an application, please understand if we don't call, it's not because we don't love you, you're not good enough or whatever. We're literally just sitting for 20. So if there's 50 of you that are perfect for this, it may not be this time. Please be okay. But if we do call, answer the phone, right? That's important. We'll set it up as a schedule, but answer the phone. So guys, if you can see on screen how much in US dollars, it's about 6.5 in US on there. And again, we can put a payment plan together to suit people if necessary, because I really want to do that. And Mila, if you haven't got the money for that, don't worry. Fill out an application, be honest with it, and we'll send you to something that will definitely be fantastic for you at virtually no cost. That's what I want to say as a thank you to everybody that's on this particular training. Give me your time right now. So can you see a button, guys? Oh yeah, there's another one there. So yeah, you've got an application there. If you go to the chat, guys, click it on, have a look, fill it out. And I promise you, anyone that steps up and joins EMF 9, we are going to force you to be successful through this because, I'm taking off that £2,000, guys, for one reason. I'm investing in you for 6 months. But in return for you doing the work and giving us a case study, giving us a testimonial, allowing us to measure those things and show the incredible increase in quality of life, finances, how fast you get to zero risk. I'm going to say for you giving us that, I'm taking off the 2K as my thank you to you. So if that's the case, guys, please, I'm excited because there is opportunity. I want you to turn around 6 months from now and say, you know something? 2020 was the best year that ever happened to me. And everyone's going to look at you like you've grown 2 heads. And you're going to turn around and say, it's a formula. And you're going to be able to live it, not speak about it. So guys, that's right. So please, if click on the range. And again, if it's out of your range there, guys, don't worry. Go through the application. And if just by submitting it with the right, and you'll see the questions, there's one there that says it's out of my range right now. Click that and I will send you something. I think we've got something for $1 that is just going to rock your world. So please don't negate this. I've put this together to help everybody. There's only 20 people at this level. I get it, right? I empathize. I hope for the last hour, 48 minutes, you've got a huge amount of value. So even if, as I said, if you never see me again, just go out there and smash it, guys. You've got 4 keys here. But if you'd like me to hold your hand, if you'd like to become my friend over the next 6 months and really get to know me and yourself and each other personally, and form a peer group that's done for you with accountability, then I couldn't design anything better, which is why I designed it. Okay, so what I want to do there is let's go to Q&A. Speaking of which, should we let the dog back in? And yeah, I'm super happy. Hopefully there's a button on screen. It doesn't show up on my side, so I'm hoping, Dave, that there is there. If not, keep posting the link for people. But I would love you to fill it out. Some of the questions on that application, guys, are designed to get you to think, which you'll get benefit of just through answering yourself. So go fill it out or go bookmark it. And again, allow us to select 20 people, and then you might follow along. And guys, guess what? If the Elite Mentorship Forum is out of your reach right now, and you want to put it on your vision board for the next 6 months down the line or next year, then fill out the application, because you're taking action on something that the universe will reward you for, because you're setting your intent. And I will show you something that'll get you ready for it. I will show you something, and I will help you and hold your hand at a lower level that will allow you to implement the ideas and the master skills that I've already put up. Again, I've done this for all of you here, guys, not just 20. Right? So go click the application, go fill it in. And I'm really excited to not only work with the 20 people that we choose, but also to be able to send the rest of you something that I know is going to really help. So that brings us to the end here, guys. Now, please ask away. I'm here for you. Whatever questions you've got. How do I handle problems, says Jan? Well, dead easy. I'm very careful about what I classify as a problem. Because let me give you an analogy here. If you go to the gym and you don't know you're an athlete, and you start getting muscle pain because you're lifting weights, your muscles are going to send to the brain a message saying, this is a problem. This hurts. Stop. What are you doing? You're breaking me down. But if you see it from the mindset as an athlete, you're proud that you're busting out that last rep personal best and can't lift your arms. So the problems, remember what I said about the Swiss Army knife? There is no inherent meaning. We give it meaning. So understanding how to shift your relationship to what you see as problems is far more powerful than trying to fix problems, because you can do it. You can solve any problem from a more resourceful state than an unresourceful state. Case closed. Guys, I'm going to let the dogs in for a second. Are we all cool now? Can we chill out together? Yeah, let's see. In fact, let's take the... I'll leave that on 10 screenshot. There I am. I'm back. All right, let me go get my kids, because they should be around. Hey kids, come on, Phil. Arch, you want to come in and say hi to these nice people? Go get it. I know. Look, yes, I thought you did. All right. Let me introduce you to my other family. Although these are EMF trained dogs, I can tell you. Archie. Oh, what? Come on. Oh, both together. Here we go. Okay, let's get some questions going here, shall we, guys? Give me a kiss. I know, I love you. I love that. Right, I know, but I also need to speak to these nice people. So, please, guys, give me that. Right, all right, down. Basket. Cool. Right. Okay, so here we go. And I'll try and answer as many as I can. And guys, please bear with me. Question: got any previous success stories that are measurable? Oh. Way more than enough. Trust me. In fact, if you fill out the application, you'll probably also see a page where there's a load of testimonials. In fact, just Google Peter Sage success stories. That's all you need to do. Go to YouTube and put in Peter Sage success stories, or go to Trustpilot and see what people are writing about the experiences they've had. So yes, there are way more testimonials I could ever count. Otherwise, I wouldn't be authentic and have the conviction in being able to share what I share. I share because A, I live it. I don't talk about it. And B, I know it works not just for me. It works for everybody that tries it. And again, just go Google Peter Sage success stories or YouTube it, and you'll have more than enough watch time of people that you go, okay, I get it. This works. I'm in. All right. But thank you for asking the question there, Connor. Jasmine said, let's have a look. No, that's Johannes. What's more important to you, optimizing your marketing funnel in terms of ROI, or understanding and solving problems of your clients as deeply as you can? Right, great question for those that are in internet marketing. Right, A follows B, right? So if you, and I see this a lot, guys, if you are in some sort of internet marketing and putting funnels together and you're just trying to sell crap and you're trying to make it a better funnel so that it makes up for your lack of substance in what you're sharing, then you're not going to be in business very long. I was just in Bulgaria 2 days ago. One of the skills I was teaching there is how to turn your clients into your best sales force by becoming raving fans. And the opposite of a raving fan is a brand terrorist. And in the age of things like Trustpilot and TripAdvisor and all of that kind of stuff, you can't give crappy service these days and get away with it, but a lot of people do. So if you focus on how can I give my gift, my mission, how can I change people's lives, how can I put a smile on somebody else's face, how can I essentially create what I call the wow factor, make somebody go wow. And then once you've got your wow in place, go figure out how to sell it better. But don't think that, I want to figure out how to sell anything and then I can put anything in that doesn't have to be a wow. For me personally, wow always comes first. How do I serve my clients? And then I'll figure out how to get more clients that I can serve. Hope that makes sense. Will you put yourself back on full screen? I am on full screen, I think. I should be now. I am on full screen. Hope so. Oh, wow, I've got 1,000. Iska said, I sent it, but £6,000 is what I make for a year. Iska, I can promise you, my love, thank you, so much for your heart and commitment. I get that. It's a lot of money for a lot of people in different countries. But I will, I will honor that. I will not let you guys down. You will not be unsuccessful. And nobody gets to the end of EMF and turns around and doesn't say that wasn't worth 10 times what they paid. Again, go check out the success stories. It'll give you confidence right now because at this point, you want to be able to adopt a state of certainty and set your intention that, okay, I've just given a huge amount of money in your country for that. And guess what? I'm going to make this worth 10 times more. I'm not going to settle for less, and have that level of intent, and you'll be able to, we'll match it. Trust me, you're going to get everything out of this. But having that rather than, did I do the right thing and do the uncertainty dance, that's not going to serve you in any level at any kind of deal that you get into. Let's have a look. Carla's probably already gone, but thank you for your here. Kathleen, can existing EMFers apply again? We do open up a small amount of spaces for EMF alumni that then also act as mentors and sort of guides and coaches for the people in the program. Now, we do only have a small number, and we did open that about a week ago, so I'm not sure if Maria's closed that off, but speak to Maria, Kathleen, and she'll be able to tell you. Let's have a look. Thank you for the training. What do I have on my vision board? Well, there's a few things on my vision board. That's not my vision board behind me, by the way. That is some of the high-level spiritual masters and people in the world that I have a huge amount of respect for in terms of their teachings and love. You'll probably see as Mother Teresa at the top there as well, on there with some of my favorite quotes. David Hawkins, obviously Maharishi, Nelson Mandela, Jesus, Buddha, Eckhart Tolle, Gandhi, high conscious people on there. But my vision board is essentially on there. I have how many people in the center of it that I want to affect with my work. So I have a copy of my book here with a sticker across the front that says 1 million copies sold. Now, that's not because I care about being a prestigious author. It's already written. It's because I want to affect 1 million people. So yeah, stuff like that's on my vision board. How many people I want to be able to serve, help, and help transform the world with. So that's what have we got here? What's better, having 5 people in your corner on the same journey, or having one person that encourages you, pushes you, and keeps you accountable? 5 people that encourage you, push you, and keep you accountable. When you say one person in your corner, I'm thinking, what's the difference between somebody in your corner versus somebody who's encouraging you and pushes you and keeps you accountable? Now, again, go through those steps I went through earlier. Raise your own standards. Seek first to add value rather than take value. Know where you're going and why, and you'll start to attract the people. Now, again, we've got a ready-made, high-level, super incredible peer group with 6 months of transformational training ready-made for you just to step into if you're going to be one of the 20. However, for those that want to go out and create their own, I wanted to give you a checklist of what to look for. If you're looking at other courses online or masterminds or whatever, most of which I've seen are way more expensive for way less stuff. And I'm not here to name or slag anyone off in the industry. That's not what I'm about. We all have our own different gifts that we bring from different angles. But at least make sure they tick the criteria that I shared with you earlier. What are good things to do when the environment consists of a narcissistic, drama-creating alcoholic? Well, Tommy, great question. Two things. The first is, and yeah, I empathize with you. If you cannot leave that environment, and there are very, very few times you cannot leave that environment. I don't care what kids are involved. I don't care what finances are involved. It's very rare. But if right now it's not the right time to leave the environment, not because you haven't got the courage, just because of certain issues that are preventing you from being able to go somewhere else, then you have to turn those kind of people into your teachers. You will grow so much. Remember, we had the emotion. What do? We disidentified from it and observed it, and that created the gap. Now, if it's not an emotion, but it's a narcissistic alcoholic that thrives on drama, your job is to observe and step out. Now, I know that's tough, but build that muscle and contrast it with, well, wow, at least I'm not living with 5 of them. Or at least I'm not living with somebody who violently abuses me or threatens to kill me or is physically abused. Yeah, there's always a way to contrast it. Remember the 10% up rather than 10% down. So do what you can to create your own safe little mental, emotional space. But once you've learned the lessons you think you need to learn, get the hell out of there. And the reason people sometimes stay in relationships like that are 2 reasons, guys. One is you feel guilty about leaving. I got news for you. Your job is not to fix anybody else's movie. Your job is to be the best star of your own movie. And if you're carrying guilt away with you because, oh, well, they've got no one else. Trust me, people will get resourceful. Or, and I say this to my students as well, guys, and I'm being honest with you. Some people have to hit their head on the sidewalk in order to learn how to tie their shoelaces. And some people, it's not this lifetime. Some people are more committed to their problems than outgrowing them. It's not your movie. You wouldn't be here with me on this training if that was your movie. So engineering a way where you can leave and without guilt, because they're not your responsibility. I don't care who on their deathbed said, look after that person. They're not your responsibility. Your responsibility is only one thing. Live the best movie that you can live. And you want to be an example. I've had many coaching clients who have kids and say, oh, well, I don't want to leave because it will upset the kids. It will no. What you're teaching your kids is that when they get into an abusive, narcissistic, violent relationship, that they shouldn't have the courage to leave. That's what you're teaching them. So, if you want to say, oh, I'll wait till they're grown up, I got news for you. They're going to grow up, right, with the wrong model to follow. All right. Could a person with physical disability and limitations succeed in business? Are you kidding me? There isn't a person, a circumstance, an IQ, a background, an education on this planet, or a combination of any of those in any way that you couldn't point to or try to design as a failure, that we couldn't find somebody who has that and then some that was successful. One gentleman I got to meet before he died had a profound impact on me. His name was Art Berg. Driving back from his stag do in Vegas to his wedding. He wasn't even driving. He was a passenger. But the driver, his best man and best friend, fell asleep and flipped the car, and Art woke up a quadriplegic on the way to his wedding back from Vegas. One day, happiest man in the world. Tomorrow, next day, life changed forever. Spent his life in a wheelchair, couldn't feed himself. One of the happiest, most incredible men I have ever had the privilege of meeting. Set numerous world records in endurance in a wheelchair. Inspired thousands of people around the world. Got married to his sweetheart. Never saw him not smiling. Again, remember the cancer story about gratitude? I don't care what your story is. By the way, became a very successful author. Made a huge amount, made way more money as a speaker from his wheelchair and as an author than he ever would have done on the job that he would have had he driven home and not flipped. So yeah, there's always a way. I have a question. We're a very small market, 7 million people. How can you sell and win in such a small market? Iskra, it depends on the nature, but here's the thing. 7 million people ain't a small market. I don't know what business you've got, but if you had 1,000 customers right now, that's probably enough to get you out of any of the challenges you currently experience. Out of 7 million people, 7,000 customers, you want one? You get the idea. It's a mindset. Yeah, you find a way of adding value to one person, you can add value to a lot of people because we're all made of the same stuff. You know, what makes you happy makes me happy. What makes you frustrated, or how you feel when you're frustrated makes me frustrated. You get the idea. So, yeah, I know many people, contrast frame, that say, wow, if only I had a market of 7 million people, then I would be able to do what I want to do. And they probably live in a village of 90 people and have a shop. You get the idea. 7 million, celebrate. What have we got here? I'd like to move on. Clive Studies, I didn't get his name. Clive DeCarle, C-L-I-V-E, separate word D-E, separate word C-A-R-L-E, Clive DeCarle with an E, .com. And mention me, and I'm sure, whatever advice you're after or solutions, he'll be able to take care of you with. Brad says, also says, as he's finding support, Hawkins findings regards to high frequency gratitude. Yeah, absolutely. Frank says, can you email us the 12 modules covered by the Elite Mentorship Forum? I couldn't read them as I went quickly. Absolutely. Maria, I'm guessing Maria's on here because she is just incredible, amazing, even though it's 4 o'clock in the morning or something silly where she is. And Maria is my assistant, by the way, that makes my life work. And I also want to go a big shout out. Dave's been on here as well. You see Dave typing in the link. Dave and Ryan and Jessica, there's a whole team behind this training today, guys, because it doesn't just happen. It doesn't, several hundred people don't just show up. So I'm the guy that just shows up, right? But I can only do that because of the incredible team that I have behind me that I'm so blessed to be able to have. So in front of all of you guys, a huge mega thank you to Dave and Ryan and Jess and Maria. But Maria, if you're able to paste, if you want to know more about that, I think we also have if you go to the website, petersage.com, you can see part of the EMF information on there. So you'll be able to see and break down those different phases. But again, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, each of them are 2 months long. I've compressed what's taken me 30 years to learn into 6 months. Any less than that, it's not permanent. Any more than that, you kind of lose momentum a little bit as it drags on, if on this kind of level of intensity. Now, I have another program that's a year long, which is just drip fed every single week for some really cool content, Ultimate Self-Mastery, absolute game changer for those that aren't yet ready for Elite Mentorship Forum. But the intensity of the EMF and how we really transform you over the next 6 months, you need about 2 to 3 hours a week to make it successful. But that's it. Out of 168 hours, that's like, what's that, 2% of your time? And if you invest that 2%, just like a ship, if a ship weighs 100,000 tons, the rudder weighs less than 2 tons. But it's that rudder that steers the ship. That 2 hours a week or more with EMF will completely steer the quality of your life for the rest of your life. And I designed it that way because we're all busy being busy. But, I also can't wave a magic wand and make you magically transform. So that's why I designed EMF over the 6 months, because that gives us time to work, get rid of the old patterns of limitation, reinstall new thinking patterns and work with you on them, get you accountability, get you a buddy so that you guys can really drill down and see other people in the forum's way of being able to look at things to uncover stuff. And again, I designed this from scratch. If I wanted to be the peer group that I want for me, how would I make it happen? How would I transform people so that anybody coming in would get to a certain level of mastery, emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, that meant that we could all sing the same song. So that's why it's 6 months, but as effectively and efficiently as possible, because again, we've all got lives and jobs. Okay. Nicholas says, I have a good mindset and I'm working every day on getting better, but a lot of my friends and family think it's woo-woo. Have you got any advice for dealing with this? Yes, send them love. Smile. You guys, listen to me. There's one way and one way only to influence other people when it comes to you on your journey of growth. And that is to be the example and invitation. That's it, right? They don't say woo-woo when all of a sudden they're panicking and you walk in the room and say, move, I'll handle it. They don't say woo-woo, right, when all of a sudden synchronicities start showing up and you get more in through me and stuff that they've been working their ass off in by me and not being able to get. suddenly presents itself to you. Yeah, they don't say woo-woo when your life's working and theirs isn't. So you become the example and the invitation, but you must let go of any insistence that they accept the invitation. It's a key point. You have no right to impose your model of the world into their movie, to write their script. All you can do is inspire them to write a different script than they're acting in right now by being that example. Now, the other thing you've got to note, guys, is this. There are people, as I said, it may not be this lifetime. There are two ways to have the tallest building in town. Tony Robbins taught me this. A, you can focus on what you guys are doing right now. You've committed over 2 hours of your time to learn stuff that's going to shift your life dramatically. And you are going to focus on building your own building as high as you can, being the best actor in the movie to go for the Oscar for you. Being the example and the invitation, not the warning and the crap show and the drama. That's one way to have the highest building in town. The second way, which unfortunately doesn't take effort, doesn't take courage, is to try to tear down everybody else's building that looks taller than yours. And if you do that, I've got news for you. Go look at history. Nothing of any significance in history was ever achieved by a critic. No life that you could point to and say, I want that life, was ever achieved by somebody else tearing down other people's buildings. So thank them for the example of the movie you don't want to act in. Yeah, send them love, and hopefully one day they'll grow up. Because there's a big difference between growing up physically and growing up emotionally. And unfortunately, there's a lot of emotional, whinging teenagers running around in very old adult bodies. It's not your deal, guys. Yeah, send them love. Hopefully next time around they may get it. But your job is to stay on point and act in your own movie as the best example that you can be. And that's why it's so critical to design a peer group around you that can hold you to that standard, hold you accountable, where you can become a midwife to each other's dreams. You get with a group of people like that, tell me what you can't accomplish. You get with a group of people that are going in the same direction with a sense of enthusiasm, a sense of purpose, a sense of excitement. Yeah, learning and stumbling along the way, but picking each other up and saying, we got this. You tell me what problem's going to take you out at the knees with that behind you. There isn't one. Right? That's why I said that's number 4, brings it all together. Mastery of emotional response is technique and practice. Choosing what to focus on is just not sleeping awake and getting sucked into other people's agendas. But unfortunately, if you don't design your environment, you're biologically and mentally hardwired to readapt to where it is you go. So always have that. That's why even if you haven't got anybody, read inspirational books, listen to inspirational podcasts. That's what ultimate self-mastery is. Every single week, I'm programming your mind to counter all of the negative crap that has been thrown at you from year dot. Let's have a little look. Can one apply for a scholarship? Well, do you remember what I said? Iskra, I really appreciate and love you, my love. But this is what I found. Whenever I have not had somebody stretch, they've not committed. Now, it may be a stretch on time or courage or finances or whatever it may be, but if I give away a place on the Elite Mentorship Forum, they automatically, every time, become the worst student. So after EMF 5, I stopped doing it. Yeah, my passion, I'll pay you back. I'll be the case study where I'll make loads of money and then I'll give you even more than I would have. I've heard it all before. It never works. All right, let me ask you this question, guys. When was the last time you took a rental car through a car wash? We don't value what we don't own. And for some of you, as I said, this could be a really amazing opportunity to stick on your vision board and then something to work towards. That I would love. I love hearing stories. Say, hey, listen, I first saw this on a training way back, and I knew then that one day I would be part of the EMF. Because trust me, EMF grads, they're a different breed. You walk in a room, you know who's an EMF grad, or you know if an EMF grad walks in the room. Right? Different energy. That's why we all are so tight together. I was just away on the cruise with a lot of EMF people. In fact, a lot of the EMF just organized a big trip together in the Alps. We got together for my birthday last year, and the year before. And then we all met up last year in Poland for another reunion and festa. These are the people I want to do business with, to hang with, to be vulnerable with, to just to share my life with. Because the alternative is, who you're going to find in a bar these days or on Tinder that has some sort of high conscious level of connection that are going to add value before they seek to take. Say no more. Okay. Let's have a little look. And Dave says there, as the finances. And if it's not the right time, click the application and go through it anyway. The questions will make you think, which a lot of the time we don't ask ourselves good questions, so we don't uncover some of the answers. And yeah, I've got an option for everybody else in there that literally, guys, you can start with $1, right? And take something for $1 that is as powerful as this training. Am I making myself clear? I don't want to push this, because if you don't feel it, I don't want to influence you. But go fill out the application, right? Because, yeah, if you can't join, if you're not one of the 20, there are, options I've got lined up. And because I'm here to help, guys. I'm not here to try to sell 20 places. I'm here to change 20 lives that I can work with and give private attention to as part of EMF 9. EMF 9 is going to be the smallest EMF we're doing. So I want to make it a case study for this environment, because 5 years from now, someone says, oh, will it really work? Well, listen, I know we're in a boom right now. I know the economy's going great. But do you remember 2020? Yeah, the crap show that most people want to forget. Well, here's 20 people. Well, here's more. Here's EMF 9. Right? So we've got a dozen people in there already. Here's EMF 9. And we started that in October 2020. And guess what? By March, April 2021, champions all over the place. That's what I want to be able to do. That's what we will do, right? We know what we're doing. Okay, what do we got here? Please give some tips on attracting like-minded people. Pretty simple. Remember what I said earlier? I've got some Pete's #1 rules. Right? Pete's golden rule #1. There's several of them, but they apply to different contexts and scenarios and industries. So, #1 rule of relationships: nobody can love you more than you love yourself. So you want more love in your life? Simple. Become more loving. To begin with, to yourself. Being loving to others and not yourself is called being needy, being people-pleasing, being desperate, being codependent. That's not going to work. When you love yourself, because everybody's after love, they're going to look at you and say, wow, that person, something about it. I want to be with that person. Example, invitation. #1 rule, when it comes to health, if you don't make time for health, you will have to make time for illness. It's a binary equation. Nobody doesn't have enough time for health. Everybody just doesn't make health a high enough priority to allocate the time we all have to it. Let's be honest. #1 rule of personal growth. People will never rise above the opinion of themselves. If you don't see yourself as wealthy, you're never going to be wealthy. If you don't feel abundance, and if you're in scarcity, on the scarcity floor of the movie, trying to get them to write abundant scripts, ain't going to happen. Get in the elevator, press up. That's your job. That's what EMF is going to do. It's going to raise your game. It's going to raise your consciousness. It's going to raise your standards. #1 rule of coaching. And guys, some of you ain't going to want to hear this, especially for those people that are your best friends that are having not a tough time, because a lot of people are having a tough time, but those that are in victim mode and are more committed to their problems currently than outgrowing them, because they get what we call secondary gain. Yeah, I don't have significant amounts of money. I don't have a significant job. I don't have a significant house, but I have a significant problem. Yeah, if that's how they're getting their significance, right? Yeah, #1 rule of coaching, golden rule. Listen to me, guys. It took me a decade of painful experiences to understand this. If you want something for somebody else more than they want it for themselves, you are wasting your damn time. Not being hard. There are rare, very rare circumstances where I will do a forced intervention. But I got to tell you, I've got the skills to do it. And it's hard if you screw it up. It's an elegant level of being able to navigate that. And I've had many years working in high-level intervention, from suicide, drug addicts, abuse cases, trauma, rape, everything. You put me in, I'll handle it. But if somebody doesn't want to change more than I want it for them, you're not going to get a result. unless you do a forced intervention, which a lot of the time I will only do. In fact, I can probably count on less than one hand the amount of times I've done that. But if somebody you love, somebody you care about is destroying themselves, if they're locking themselves in a burning building and won't come out, and they know it's on fire, it's rare, but sometimes I will kick the door down, knock them the hell out, and drag their ass out of there. Now, they may wake up and want to run back in, but I'm not going to sit there and watch them burn if it's somebody I really care about. If you follow that metaphor, I hope that's useful. But remember, again, some people have got to go hit their head against the wall in order to learn how to avoid walls. Don't take that lesson away from them. Wayne, in your opinion, what is the quickest way to generate revenue online? Solve problems, add value. All right. Don't get me into different niches because there's every single niche online. If you don't understand the market, then I would recommend you find a formula or a template or a system that's been proven to work to follow, and then model what the successful people are doing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to go to 5 years of internet school, marketing school. Right? There's more than enough examples out there and for you to be able to look at and follow. That would be my greatest advice. Find a system. For example, what's the difference between an entrepreneur and a franchisor or a franchisee? Simple. Entrepreneurs have a higher ability to handle uncertainty. We're the crazy idiots that'll go buy a house on a deal. We're the crazy idiots that'll work 133 hours a week because we've got skin in the game and we've got a vision and we're trying to figure out what's working as we go. People that buy a franchise, they're not entrepreneurs. They want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't have a high enough ability to handle uncertainty. So therefore, they're buying a system that gives them the certainty, and they're willing to pay a premium for that out of the profits it generates. Right? They'll let somebody else figure out what works, what doesn't, go bankrupt, build back up, test this, test that, and design a nice little turn-handle money machine, and then give them a royalty and an override as a privilege for them doing all of that. It's okay, not right or wrong. But if online right now, think of that as a similar model. If you're getting into drop shipping or e-commerce or Shopify or whatever, go find somebody that's got a system that many people are proving its work, and then focus your intention on adding value to as many people as you can and getting excited about it. Remember, outer world follows inner world. Okay. Thokazil. It says 5 people who sort of back you versus one who does completely. Speed of the pack is the speed of the leader. Become that person. I will take one person solidly at my back than 5 dilly-dallying kind of sort of woulda. 100% every time. All right, if you've got one person that is back-to-back, you can take on the world. If you've got 5 people that are going to be busy when you really need them because you're not a high priority, you can have 1,000 of them. Doesn't make any difference. Speaking as a guy, a good woman as an entrepreneur, the life of a wife of an entrepreneur is a different life. And I know it goes both ways. Ladies, lady entrepreneurs out there. Thankfully, there's a lot more of them online now and in the world. But one good woman at the back of you will take you to the moon and back. One person that's criticizing you the moment you walk in, that's telling you your ideas are stupid, that, I just get on with your business stuff, whatever, I'm doing what I'm doing. You got 10 of them, not worth the salt of one person that's got you back. Oh, that helps. Let's have a little look. Ulrico, I did the Ultimate Mastery. It's actually the Ultimate Business and Life Workshop, I believe, in 2013, Ulrico, in South Africa. I remember it. Besides the peer group, how much of a level up is EMF to Ultimate Mastery? Oh, way up. EMF is next level. I created, if you recall, in South Africa in 2013, the only thing that was available then was private coaching. And at that point, I was charging $10,000 for 2 months. So it's like half the rates that I charge now. But what I did, I got so busy in 2013 because of the London Real interview, which is a game changer, which, by the way, subtle hint now, if you're listening, guys, go fill out the application. If you can't afford EMF, there's kind of maybe a super London Real interview waiting for you for $1. Hello. What I did, I got a lot of personal coaching clients. I think I had something like 25 coaching clients that year. It's like, $250,000 in coaching fees. Great. But it was exhausting. And so I thought, how do I create a coaching program and a transformation program that's as powerful as me kind of working with them, because I love to do that, but do it where I can do it for a group. And that's the basis of EMF. So instead of paying, whatever it was, $5,000 a month back then, you're getting for just over $5,000 or $5,000 sterling, you're getting what, 6 months. Plus what I didn't realize was how powerful, not the information. Information is going to change your world, but the peer group factor is where 1 + 1 = 11. And that blew my mind. I knew it was going to be powerful. I just didn't realize how powerful that was going to be. You've got friends for life here. Because if you go to college with somebody and they're your roommate, you're going to be friends for life, hopefully, depending on the roommate, right? But if you go through a transformational, emotionally intense experience with somebody where you both transform for the better, that will bond you like nothing else. Again, see soldiers on a battlefield that stand back to back or go through an experience like that together, or survivors of a disaster on a plane or a boat or something. When going through that growth-centric experience, there is a tighter bond you cannot duplicate. And that's what EMF does. Because people transform so much over the 6 months, there is a bond that bonds with your peer group that leaves college roommates in the dust. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's have a little look. And I'm Scott. If I missed any of these, sorry guys. I'm trying to get as many as I can. Will there be a conflict if I'm currently in the Ultimate Self Mastery Program with want to be in EMF from Adrian? No, not at all. EMF is a step up from the USM. EMF is the highest level of what I teach, where I get hold of you in a group and we work together for the next 6 months on content that I can't put into USM because people aren't ready for it. So yeah, USM is a really nice foundation, Ultimate Self Mastery, and it's like $50 a month, guys. It's next to nothing, right? Or less than $30 a month, less than $1 a day, right? For if you take the annual program. But it's essentially a very powerful program, as I'm sure you're experiencing. But EMF is just next level. I mean, again, you're talking $50 a month versus $6,500. So it better be a step up. Otherwise, everybody in EMF that comes from USM is going to be upset. Trust me, that doesn't happen. You get the idea. Did my friend Clive write a book on his findings? I don't think so. I think he does just do a lot of lectures and there's a lot of stuff on his website. Let's have a little look. How do you create your ideal environment that's conducive to what you're trying to achieve and elevate? Probably should be eliminate distractions, from Sean. There's a whole concept that so many people don't do, which is so simple and profound. But again, don't let profundity essentially excuse its simplicity. And that is, set your intention. First thing we talked about today, guys. Set yourself up to win. Yeah, if you've got an environment, if you're struggling getting up in the morning to go to the gym and you're playing the snooze button hokey cokey, and guess what? Right? If you set yourself up to win the night before, when you're not coming out of a groggy kind of, oh, is my head. Right? Some of you probably not even remembered pressing the snooze button sometime. Right? It's automatic. So set yourself up to win. Put the alarm the other side of the bedroom, so you've got to get out of bed to turn it off. Put a brighter light in there, and so as soon as you get up, flick the light switch. Like, okay, I'm awake. I have some water there to drink and hydrate. Get your gym kit and put it next to the bed. So you haven't got to go hunting through several drawers for it, which your brain will say is too much of a chore. And let me just think about it while I go back to bed and think about the best way to get it out of the drawers. And how am I going to, which top am I going to match with mixed short? Too late. The mind will always justify. That's its job. All right. The mind's job is to justify your current emotional state. If you're angry, it will find the reason why you shouldn't apologize. If you're tired, it'll find the reason why it's okay to press the snooze button. It's just its job. Yeah, we learned this on module 3 on EMF is mastery of emotional response. I taught you a little snippet today. But if you want to go deep, if you've got childhood issues or trauma or significant emotional events in the past that you're trying to unhook your victim story from, but they keep pulling you in, then module 3 on EMF, completely will transform that. A very good friend of mine, Ralph Hoffman from Germany, who was a fellow trainer with me, with Tony for many years. And Ralph signed up for EMF. I think it was on EMF 6. And he went through it. And on module 3, he called me because we know each other as friends. And he called me and says, Pete, I've got to tell you, I haven't told anybody else this. And I didn't know this all the time I was working with him. But his brother was killed a few years ago. It was a motorcycle accident. Never got over it. Therapy, specialists, doing the work. He said, I wasn't expecting much because I've gone through this for so many years. He says, but module 3 did it. I have zero emotional attachment or guilt or negativity right now. I've found how to be grateful for that event in a way that it doesn't hook me anymore. Right? So again, it's kind of doing the work, but you set yourself up to win. Justine says, will you be able to help me grow my business when I call out to you? Guys, let me just be very open here. EMF is not a business course. It's something much more powerful that will affect your business. Because as I just taught for 2 days in Bulgaria, learning things like time management, sales, marketing, educational-based marketing, customer service, hiring, HR staff, all of that is skills. I can teach you that in my sleep. I can teach you that drunk. Not that I would, but you get the idea. None of that will make a difference as much as changing the person who is applying the skills. That's why you have 2 people go to the same seminar with the same IQ, exposed to the same information in the same circumstance. One of them goes out and applies it and creates magic. The other never gets the bat off their shoulder and takes a swing. It's not the skills you need. You want to upgrade the business. The only thing that will create magic for you, isn't learning some new marketing skill or reading some new marketing book. It's upgrading the business owner. You upgrade the business owner, everything else will shift. I promise you. I get high-level CEOs pay me a lot of money to come in and fix their business, when the answer within 25 seconds to me is pretty easy, that the business is fine. It's just suffering from a dysfunctional business owner. Too much fear, too much need for control, too much micromanagement, too much unfocused, too much wrong reasons for building the business because they're trying to prove to the world they're good enough, or prove to their brother, or not let their people down, or all of that stuff. You get that in alignment, which is what phase 3 on EMF does, by the way. When we dissect your psychology and rebuild it back, you'll be able to spot on paper exactly and map out why you self-sabotage, or why you're unfulfilled, or why you keep running the same patterns or have different relationships but with the same person. Right? If you know what I mean. Or same relationship, but with different people. All of that stuff. No, I'm not going to teach you business on EMF. I'm going to teach you the business of you. And that is going to have a massive impact on your business, I can promise you. Okay. Why is money, Sharon says, why is money and having it so important? It seems a lot of time is put forward as more important than people helping them, or even your purpose and fulfillment. One of the reasons money and having it so important is 2 reasons, Sharon. All right. One is the fact that we have made money the standard medium of exchange in order to function in society. And that's because many years ago, if I had goats and you had chickens, and I wanted chickens and you wanted goats, we're in business. But if I wanted chickens but you didn't want goats, I'm kind of screwed. So money leveled the playing field as an arbitrary medium of exchange, so it can be used to measure perceived value. So it's hard to function in a society right now because very few people are bartering. Most people are using something called cash, right? Money. The other reason is this, and that is that most people have been conditioned through the media, society, and culture to link 2 things together that were never meant to be linked together. People ask me, how can I be happy when I lose everything? 3 years ago, when I went off to write my book, if you know what I'm talking about, right? I lost everything. I came out $250,000 in debt. Zero business, zero anything. Right? Behind the 8 ball, behind the curve. And the reason I could still smile and still have fun and turn it all around and go out and make the next year and a half all about being able to get whole again with a smile rather than a sad story was simple. I didn't link these 2 things together that most people link. And that, my friends, is this: your self-worth and your net worth. If you're combining your self-worth and your net worth together, you're always going to be chasing money, not to get more money. That's what the front part of your brain will tell you. But the real driver is to avoid the fear that you're not enough. Because with less money and your self-worth is tied to it, then your self-worth goes lower. That triggers the fear we all have as human beings, which is the fear we're not enough. And therefore we freak out. And so we focus more on how to get more money, get more money, get more money. That's why you see people that have actually become rich and successful wonder why they're still unhappy, or realize that they got to the top of Success Mountain and now they want to jump off, because success and fulfillment are two different things. Okay. What is the criteria that would define your peer group? Great question. And yeah, if we call you back and we have a conversation with you and potentially invite you to one of the case studies, what we're looking for are the following. Definitely nobody that's into me. Yeah, I don't care about your story. I don't want to hear your story. I'm here to get you out of your story and get you past your story, right? People that are open to growth and personal growth, that don't have a fixed model of the world. Right? I'm all for challenging other people's beliefs, right? But not by making them wrong, but just benchmarking it against my own to see if it's still there. Because I'll be honest, the first belief you want to question is the one you're most certain about. That way you stay open to growing rather than get dogmatic and fixed into making other people wrong because you need them to be wrong in order for you to feel more right. Yeah, welcome to OPD. All right, so I want somebody who's committed to personal growth, somebody who has a level of commitment to their word. Oh, I'll be on the call at 7 o'clock. Oh, hey, Sheila, I didn't see you on the call. Oh, you won't believe what happened, blah, blah. All excuses 90% of the time. Sometimes there's genuine reasons, you allow for that. But when it becomes a pattern, you get the idea. So somebody's going to be true to their word. Somebody's going to be reliable. Somebody who's committed to wanting to grow. Nobody's perfect. We're all coming to the table with warts and faults and stuff behind the mask. That's okay. Don't worry. By module 6, when we get to authenticity, you'll understand a whole different game on how to get rid of the masks that we've been wearing to try to pretend that we're better than the people we're scared we're not. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a little look. 5 minutes. Oh, Dave's putting 5 minutes left for the application, guys. I don't know how long ago that was. I'm still trying to work through 1,000 things here. Let me have a look. I've got a private question here which says, would it be inappropriate to ask to connect with one of your past EMF students that were standout? Absolutely. Feel free. Say, Brittany, I teach Capital versus Initiative. Sorry for giving the name there, but not a problem. I'm not here to control what anybody does. And again, go to Peter Sage Success Stories. You'll find a load there, or I'm sure you'll be able to go on my fan page on Facebook, and you'll see EMF grads chiming in. I mean, we have our own private group, invite only, into the EMF, which is where we do a lot of our activity. But you won't be able to get into those unless you're an EMF student or graduate. But there's a lot of EMF grads around on my Facebook and Instagram and stuff there. So I'm sure it'll be easy to find. Let's have a little look. Is through me surrendering to the universal life? Great question, Michael. There's different connotations around the world. Surrender. Oh, there you go. Jill says, happy to speak to someone interested. Speaking with me. Jill's from EMF 7. Amazing woman as well, graduate. But the word surrender can be heard very differently from different levels of consciousness. If you are in to me, you will hear surrender as giving up. Apathy, resignation, no hope. If you're in by me, you'll hear surrender as acquiescing, as being dominated, and you'll push back. If you're in through me, you're essentially surrendering the resistance to what is, and then creating an empowering meaning and working with life, the universe, God, whatever label you want to go, in a way that allows you to become a partnership. You can call it the art of allowing. You can call it let go and let God. You can call it. It's not the kind of, without being disrespectful to the Islam, and I'm very familiar with a lot of the deep levels of the different religions, guys. Don't get me started on that. We touch on that in module 4, by the way, so that people can have an empowering understanding and make decisions for themselves, not from me, around how to relate to spirituality or atheism or spirit or religion or agnosticism, whatever it is. All right, but a higher truth, a higher power, a higher level of intelligence. But in Islam, I lived in Dubai for many years. So I was in an Islamic culture in the Middle East. And I saw a lot of people use inshallah, God's will, as an excuse to not participate, as an excuse to avoid responsibility, so an excuse not to embrace courage. Oh, well, you're going to work hard on trying to get this interview. And inshallah, if it's God's will, I'll get it. But it wasn't from a case of, oh, I'm excited, I'm setting the intention. You know something? If it doesn't happen, it'll be something better because I trust God. No, it's like, whatever. Yeah, God will do the work for me. That's a different game. So hopefully you understand the different levels of surrender there. If I will clarify that a little bit. Dubai's not an Islamic culture. I meant the locals, not the 90% expats. But yeah, completely with you. And again, through Islam, that wasn't the meaning. That wasn't the message. It's about don't fight God's will. Don't get into buy me and try to control the world. But if you're using it as an excuse to stay into me, that's where the misinterpretation is based on levels of consciousness. That was my point. Brad, thanks. I'm really enjoying self-mastery program. The tools provided are helpful. The sessions connected with me in a way that has raised my frequency in the tools. Oh, you're welcome, Brad. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. If I've missed questions, guys, feel free to throw them in again, but we're probably going to call time on this in next 5 minutes or so. So again, I love the fact that there's still 160 plus of you on the call here, guys. And I know you've got lives, and I'm grateful and touched by that. Again, no matter what, go fill out an application, even just to get the benefit of the questions to ask yourself, because it'll make you think. And then, as I say, if you can't afford it, there's options on the table that I know you will be able to that'll make a massive difference. Let's have a little look. What else have we got here? I like that. Surrender equals render higher. Yeah. Let me have a little look. Just having a little look. Going through, see if there's anything here. I think we're about almost out of questions, guys. Okay. So we got last column. Do I know of anything that doesn't have to be broken down in order to remain healthy? Joseph, be a little more specific, please, if you know what I mean. You're talking about digestion. You're talking about food groups. You're talking about different stomach acids here. And let me know. Klaus and Self-Mastery, loving it. Great bonus today. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Still didn't appear anything else on the webpage but the videos. I'm not sure what you mean there. But if you send Dave a message, he'll be able to help you if there's anything on that. I wrote years ago, I'd be coached by Peter when my brother-in-law was coached and saw amazing, long-lasting results. Oh, who was that? That wouldn't be a Sad by any chance, would it? I want to say there's anything for me to gain personally. Absolutely. How do I navigate through emotions to make the right decisions? Nelly, great question. How do I navigate through emotions to make the right decisions? Rather than look at the concept of navigating, it's a case of learning to decipher or tune into what is a signal and what is noise. What is your truth and what is your mind's justification trying to pretend to be truth? That's part of what EMF will teach you. That's what one of the main outcomes for EMF is, to give you a very high signal to noise ratio. So yeah, let's have a little look. Frank, that was the best one. Oh, you're welcome, Frank. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. So yeah, that's it is a sad. Oh, please give him my love, Shahida. That's much appreciated, and your brother as well. I know haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. But and Shakira as well. But yeah, please send the whole family my love there. Asad was one of the people that was also at the workshop in 2013 in South Africa and became one of my private coaching clients. Went on to do amazing things. So much love for him. It's unreal. Let's have a look. Final question we're probably going to take here now. Marina, how do you go through a grieving process of losing somebody dear yet keep going? That's a great question. And we'll finish on that, guys. So I've seen grief take people out for years. When my father passed away, it was the first time I'd lost a close relative. My grandparents passed away when I was 6, so I wasn't really emotionally mature enough to understand that, apart from my parents framing about, heaven and what have you. But when my dad died suddenly, unexpected, of a stroke overnight, I'm 72 years old, big, strong, we thought healthy, but that had a huge impact on me, obviously. One of the things that David Data says is one of the first steps on the emotional maturity ladder for a man is to live as if your father was already dead, because most men are so trying to live up to the expectations of what they think their dads want in order to be proud. Another conversation. But I also knew that at that point, having had 20 plus years in personal growth, I was 36 when he passed away. I'm 48 now. So having had decades of doing this kind of work and understanding people and emotions, I knew I had to process that. It's not about trying to avoid grieving. There is a process where I allowed myself to go into grief and feel it and allow it to do what it did. And there were many days I cried. Many days I just burst into tears walking the shop. I miss my dad. Still miss my dad. Love my dad. A great relationship. But I knew it was a process. And I forgave myself for that. I gave myself permission to do that. I allowed that as a normal part. And that once that ran its course, now I have zero attachment to the fact my dad died. And of course I miss him, but it's part of the cycle. He got to have his wish that his children outlive them, But my stepmom, who he was with at the time, she stayed in grief for many years. Sometimes that would get up to anger at the fact that he left her. Unjustified, doesn't make sense to the front part of the brain, but you'll find emotions, if they're not processed effectively, will find many outlets that the mind will then try to justify. So if someone has gone, you need a more empowering context for death. You see, let's go back to the movie metaphor, and I'll close with this, guys. If we show up as an actor and we get a script and we go on set and we commit to a filming schedule of 2-3 months, we're going to meet other actors along the way. Guess what? At some point, those actors are going to have a final scene in our movie. Some of them may only be in the first few scenes. Not going to see them again. We're going to spend the rest of our movie not seeing those actors. They're going on to do different movies. But when you film the final scene in your movie, there'll have been many actors come and go in your movie. There'll be many actors still around in their own movie while you're here. If you understand that, as I said, death isn't the opposite of life, it's the opposite of birth. They're off to pick up another script, and guess what? You may bump into them again or work together again on another movie further down the line. We call that soulmates or twin flames or a sense of deeper connection or past life connection, whatever it may be. I don't care the language. Right? Now, another analogy, school. You make some really tight, close friends at high school. But when you finish high school, you go to college. And not every one of your friends is going to go to the same college, and some you may never see again. You enjoy the memories you had. You enjoy the time you had. You honor them. Some people moan that people die. Other people celebrate the fact they lived. Remember? Or step 1, choose your focus. Step 2, don't worry about what you can't control. You can't bring them back. So how do you honor their memory? By being the example for other people about celebrating their life rather than moaning that it's no longer there. All right? Your job is to go on to college and live the best version of you in college, not sit there and not pay attention to the teacher and not do your exams because you're still upset that one of your best friends went to a different college. Hopefully I'm making sense here, guys. That doesn't honor them in any way. What honors them is you going and be a grade A student and hoping that wherever they've gone to, they do the same. Love or fear, it's always a choice. Right. Okay. Final question, because it's easy. What is the other book behind me? That is Reality and Subjectivity by David Hawkins. You'll see behind me there, David Hawkins, next to his map of consciousness, above Mandela and Maharishi. And he wrote the book Power versus Force, which if you've read the inside track, you'll understand, because I reference it extensively in the inside track, along with the map of consciousness, where I was mapping all of the people that I was in Pentonville with. However, he wrote that as part of a trilogy. The second book that he wrote was actually called The Eye of the Eye. Now, if you've got any connotations to religiosity and rules of religions that have more impetus in promoting fear than love through interpretations that may not be accurate, right? Because then The Eye of the Eye is an absolutely incredible spiritual book. Don't read it unless you've read Power versus Force. And the third book in the trilogy is Reality and Subjectivity. Definitely do not pick this up. In fact, there's a warning at the beginning of it that says it's not for the spiritually timid. Right? Where are we? Dedication. Oh, it'll be in here anyway. I'm not going to find. And you'll see, I mean, most of these books have, I've got notes, and whatever page I open, there's something in there. And I'll give you a wow, yeah, I mean, it's just, go halfway, all the way through the stuff in here, I highlight. But I'll read you something here to give you an example of something out of Eye of the Eye, and then we'll close on this, guys, and go home. Because I think my dogs need feeding. The soul is the author of its own fate by the exercise of its own choice and selection. Right? Each gravitates to its own concordant dimension, and spiritual paradoxes may appear in response to spiritual choice. For example, the spiritual seeker wants love and joy, but that intention triggers the surfacing of all that obstructs it and prevents its appearance. Now, those who then dedicate their life to spirituality recognize that as the gateway with which to pass through, because you have to surrender fear and judgment in order to be more spiritually mature. So when you set your intention to be spiritually harmonious or joyful, expect it to trigger and bring up that which you need to let go of in order to be able to progress, is what he's saying. You get the idea. That's one passage out of that book. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for you guys today. Thank you so much for everything. Guys, I never take your time, attention, and love for granted. For those that are supporting my work and have been with me on the journey for a while, again, you have no idea how much you mean to me. For those that have just come across my work, or it's maybe the first time, hopefully today's been of value, and feel free to stick around and get on the list. I'm always trying to add as much insight as possible. Follow me on social. For those of you that feel it, that there's something there to step up to and want to spend the next 6 months game-changing everything in the direction that your life is taking to a whole different level, then I welcome you. And we're going to be starting EMF 9 this week. And it's going to be an absolute pleasure to welcome you on board. Wherever you're on your journey, guys, thank you so much. Mwah. Stay amazing. And I will see you, no doubt, on another training soon.